Hi guys, welcome back to another exciting video, so sit back, relax, and let's get started. It was a normal day, sunny skies, and a few clouds. Maybe if things had stayed like this I was soon knocked back right into a tree. I should have been paying attention. Me and my father, Vegeta, have been training. Next time, I shouldn't think about the day. Get up. If we're done here, then I'll go back now. Vegeta had yelled to me as I was getting up, rubbing the back of my head. Sorry, I quickly apologized. Watching him walk back into our mansion of a house. I'm strong, but it feels like my weakness is getting distracted. Oh, I should have said this already. I am Trunks Brief, the son of Vegeta and Bulma Brave. I'm also known as the ultimate sword fighter. Even though I'm a Super Saiyan, I mostly just rely on my sword. After my father went back inside, I decided to take time to relax. After everything I've gone through, I deserve some peace, right? I was beyond incorrect, and I would soon regret not going back inside. Mysteriously, smoke started coming down. I was a bit confused since I couldn't sense any fires. Did someone else cause this? No, I can't sense any power levels either, so what is this smoke? I started flying up towards it to see if I could clear it. Once I got near the smoke, I smelled it. It didn't smell like fire smoke, and I didn't see a fire start anywhere. That's when I felt something hard hit the back of my head. I couldn't process anything as I started falling down. My eyes slowly closed, and I knew it was the end. The last thing I saw was a black and white bear. I slowly opened my eyes before I bolted up. It seemed like I was in a bed. This was a little confusing considering I was just outside on the grass. Wait, smoke? Was it sleeping gas? It had to be, since nothing else could have put me to sleep. I saw my sword to the side and grabbed it, putting it back in its sheath before throwing it over my shoulder. This looked like a room, but I don't remember my mother, Bulma, bringing me inside. I stood up and looked around. This isn't room. I was somewhere completely different. Maybe I can escape somehow. I looked over to the window, but it seemed to be bolted shut. Isn't that perfect? Then I remember I can do blasts, and started charging one up towards it. That's when I heard something over the speakers. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Trunks Brief. You'll only get yourself killed like that. The voice said. It sounded, how should I put it, like an old man mixed with a child, if that made sense. But the strangest thing was it knew my name. Who are you, and where am I? I called out, hoping it would hear me over speakers. If you go to the gym, I'll explain everything. See you there. Hoo. The voice seemed to laugh before it sounded like they left the speaker. Maybe it will explain everything to me. I shouldn't hesitate now, I told myself before opening the door and running out. Closing it behind me, I was soon walking the halls, just closing my eyes to think that was a mistake. I ended up running into someone, falling along with the person I ran into. A bit confused, I opened my eyes to see a girl with blonde hair. Her hair had buns, and out of those buns came ponytails, a strange hairstyle. She looked like a bun head. My apologue I wasn't able to finish because I was interrupted by crying, loud cry. Wahhhh. I fell. The girl cried, and it was loud enough for anyone to hear. Her crying was starting to hurt my ears as I stood up. I'm sorry about that. I wasn't paying attention. I held out my hand for the girl to take before she just stood up and suddenly just stopped crying. Her face was replaced with an angry one, and I just took back my hand. You should watch where you're going. A pretty girl like me shouldn't be falling. She basically yelled this at me, and it felt like it was ringing in my ears. If you'd calm down, I just have a small question. I tried my best to talk over her yelling, and she suddenly stopped and changed her mood again. Yeah, what is it? I rubbed the back of my head, wondering how she can change moods so quickly. Before getting back to my actual question, where's the gym? I was heading there just now, just follow me. Before I could answer, she already started walking off, and I had to run behind her to catch up. After some walking and going down some stairs, I finally saw a little sign above a door that said gym. I opened the door for the girl, and she gleefully walked through with me following behind her. Adjusting my eyes to the light, I blinked and noticed 14 other people, but the strange thing was none of them looked like they were from where I lived, and this included the bun-hair girl. Look, I think those are the last two. A short girl called out. Her hair was in a purple ponytail, and she had what looked like elf ears. Her outfit was pretty strange, too. It looked like some sort of swimsuit, but I'm getting off topic. Finally, you guys took forever and kept us all waiting, you damn idiots. Another guy yelled at the two of us. He had blonde hair which was sort of spiky and had what seemed to be a school uniform without the tie. That's good, some guy mumbled loud enough to hear. He at least looked a little normal. He had black hair with glasses and also had a school uniform on. Hoo. Now that everyone's here, let's get started. It was the voice, the same voice that I heard over the speaker back in the room I was. It seemed more annoying in person, but that's not what I'm focused on. Everyone looked towards the front of the gym, and a black and white bear soon appeared. It looked just like the one I saw before I passed out. I was a little creeped out. The white side had a happy bear face, while the black side had a red eye with a creepy face. What is that thing even? It's so creepy, the bun-haired girl said, still beside me, but it looked as if she was gonna use me as a shield. Looks like a Build-A-Bear reject, the boy with blonde, spiky hair chimed in. I could hear some snickers throughout the gym, and I had to refrain myself from joining them. I am not a Build-A-Bear reject. I am Monokuma, the headmaster of the school you're trapped in. The bear, now known as Monokuma, soon yelled for a bear. It was pretty rude. We're in a school. The boy with black hair spoke up. He seemed chill and I may talk to him in my spare time. Well, if I'll get any. That's correct. Don't worry if you want to leave. You can't. Everything is bolted shut. Monokuma soon started laughing, pointing to the bolted windows. They were like the ones in my room. Bullshit, you damn bear. The blonde spiky hair boy soon yelled. Walking over to one of the windows, the boy lifted up his hand and I noticed sparks coming from it. I quickly backed away. Pulling the bun-haired girl with me, I heard a loud explosion noise and looked to where he was. There was not one dent. It looked as if he never even tried anything. I assumed it was just his power. But that could have shattered a window. Wow, he must be really weak if it didn't make a dent. I heard another voice and looked over to this kid. He had white hair with a white shirt and blue sleeves. At least he seemed normal, but this wasn't somewhere a kid should be. I told you, everything is bolted shut. You're all trapped here forever until the day you die. Monokuma spoke back up and he was really getting on my nerves at this point. May I ask why you have taken us in? A girl raised her hand. She seemed a little more calm and more normal. She had blonde hair that was in a bun and she wore some fancy clothes, too. Well, I've taken you in for one reason. You guys want to leave, right? Of course we want to leave. Nobody wants to stay here forever. A girl with short, black hair with a red streak spoke up. She didn't seem any different from the others, although she had a strange uniform that was a little unorthodox, but that's not the point. Then you have to kill. Monokuma said it so happily like it was nothing, but that word rang through my ears. All 16 of us have to kill to leave. This is a nightmare and my nightmare wouldn't end there. Wave to kill. I looked to the bun-haired girl who looked like she was on the verge of screeching in my ears again, and I didn't want that. This feels like a spirit. Beauty looks like a nightmare. Another spoke, and at least he looked a little simple. Orange hair and blue eyes, and it looked like he had a staff on his back. Oh, come on. We have to kill. That sounds too easy to do. Some guy with what seemed to be dog ears and long, white silver hair. When I looked to his face, I was a bit worried since he had a somewhat enthusiastic one. Yep, all you have to do is kill and you'll get out. Otherwise, this is your new home. Monokuma spoke back up and he was laughing while twirling. I've had enough of this bear. Without thought, I took out my sword and started running towards him, determination going through my eyes. This was some sick joke and I was done with this bear. You ran it funny. I was nearing where Monokuma was and just as I swung my sword, something stopped me. Another kid was right in front of me, but he was different. He looked a little edgy but just had white clothes on. I also tripped trying to stop myself and looked to him. All he did was shake his head to me, and for some reason, I put my sword back in its sheath and backed away back to the bun-headed girl. Monokuma noticed what I was about to do, and Monokuma had finally noticed my actions and soon spoke up. Hey, don't even try hurting me, especially with that haircut. You don't know what'll happen, but once you're in hell, you'll regret it. I looked to the ground and sadly, I did agree with Monokuma. He could do anything to me and he could even be stronger than me if he really wanted to. He could kill me right here, but I need to stop thinking about this. We have to kill. Nobody in their right mind would kill. A girl with brown hair and a white hat spoke up. She seemed the most casual out of everyone and looked like a good person to hang out with. You'd be surprised. Monokuma had an evil grin, but considering it was already planted on this thing's face, his grin just seemed even more evil. Just as I blinked, he disappeared and there wasn't a trace of him. He's gone like that, I mumbled aloud to myself before I saw the black-haired boy adjusting his glasses. Maybe we should introduce ourselves. I can start, he spoke up, and it was a good idea if we all created a bond with each other. Nobody would have the guts to kill. Great idea. You start and then I'm next. The purple-haired girl said gleefully. Well, at least Iam-1 is trying to stay positive during this. Great, I'm Ren Amami. I'm Ultimate Stealth Master. Ren did a little wave towards everyone and he seemed chill enough, but the Ultimate Stealth Master, in my perspective, it didn't seem too fitting, but he must have had his reasons. Let me next. I looked to the girl with the purple ponytail and before anyone could talk, she had already started. I'm Shanty, the Ultimate Half Genie. Half Genie seemed fitting considering her appearance and outfit. I guess I'll go next. The kid with white hair spoke up, putting his hands behind his head. I'm Killua Zoldyck, the ultimate assassin. I really got worried this kid was an assassin. At his age, it seemed like he would be one of the first to kill, but a kid couldn't cause a whole murder. Right? I'll go next. The bun-haired girl screeched right in my ear. I'm surprised I'm not deaf yet, but I looked to her. I'm Usagi Tsukino, and I'm the ultimate transformer. I thought she was the ultimate yeller and it would have fit her either way, but she seemed nice enough as long as she didn't screech in my ears again. Before another could talk, some guy with blonde hair spoke up. Hey, why are we introducing names now? Shut up, you dumb boy. Nobody wants to hear your input. Unless you decide to be relevant, shut up. Some girl with dark blue hair spoke up. If she called me a dumb boy, I'd probably be a little hurt. I'll go next. The other blonde-haired girl with the bun spoke up. She seemed the calmest and looked somewhat chill. I nodded my head as a sign for her to speak as she started to. I am Violet Evergarden, the ultimate Sawlighter. I watched as she bowed a little too formally. The ultimate Sawlighter. If she had said the ultimate princess, I would have believed her more. She looked way too fancy to be a Sawlighter. She almost looks like a princess. Oh my goodness, I wanna be her. Usagi looked like she was in love with Violet's outfit and hair. They could be good friends, but I doubt it considering Violet had a calm tone and Usagi had a, how do I say it, loud tone. I think that's it. Alright, I'm next. The orange-haired boy spoke up as he took out the staff he had and twirled it around before gripping it. I'm Kuminamoto, the ultimate exorcist at your service. This was the type of positivity I was looking for. He had a really upbeat personality, and he seemed like a perfect friend. An exorcist seemed like a fitting ultimate for him, and he could become useful to us. Before I could introduce myself, I heard a loud bang. What was that? I turned to the blonde spiky hair boy who looked like he was about to light fireworks with his power. Listen up, you damn social rejects. I'm Katsuki Bakugo, the ultimate hero in training. Now remember that, you fucking losers, he yelled to us, and I don't think it was necessary considering we were almost next to him. This guy did not seem like a friend. He looks like he could blow you away any second and wouldn't care if I hadn't known. I would have thought he was an angry Pomeranian hero in training. Who would let him be a hero? Will you be quiet for 10 seconds? Usagi yelled back at him, which seemed to have triggered him more. Shut up or I'll blow your fucking face off. That really made Usagi go quiet, and she looked like she was about to cry. Don't worry, Usagi, I doubt he'll do that to you. I had to reassure her because one more screech in my ears and I'd be deaf. Usagi just nodded to me silently, and she wiped her face since I had already noticed tears. After that, I heard the girl with short black hair and a red streak start talking without even a warning. Ryuko Matoi, the ultimate. She had stopped right there. It didn't look like she would say more. The ultimate what? I didn't know, but she just looked like she was done, and I wasn't in the mood to bother her. Me now, please. Alright. The girl with long brown hair just spoke out of nowhere, and before I could answer, she had already started talking. I'm Leaf, the ultimate trainer. Ultimate trainer. Gym trainer. What kind of trainer? That didn't matter. I was more worried on who named the poor girl Leaf. It was creative, but it sounds like her parents hated her. But look who's talking. Most of us had already introduced ourselves. Just a few more. I turned to this one girl, black hair in a side ponytail with a white cape and what looked like a purple dress, and had a katana in a sheath around her waist. Seems calm enough. Hey, you, I called out to her, and everyone soon had their attention to her. Mind introducing yourself? She stood there and stared at me before she took out a coin. What did she need a coin for? I watched as she flipped the coin and caught it in her hand. I don't know which side it landed on, but she started to speak. Kanatsuyuri, the ultimate demon slayer. She said such little words, but she looked like a chill person. My real question was why she needed a coin to speak, but I probably wouldn't understand. The list soon went down quicker. Akane Tendo, I'm the ultimate martial artist. She had short, dark blue hair with a teal-colored dress and white, puffy sleeves. This was the girl who called the other guy a dumb boy. Doesn't seem like someone I'd mess with. Tamaki Chuo, the ultimate host club leader. He had put on some sort of charming act, holding out a rose like he was expecting someone to take it. I wasn't surprised when Usagi fell for it and looked like she was in love with him already. And Ayasha, the ultimate half-demon, a demon slayer and a half-demon together. This definitely won't end well, but I wouldn't be surprised if he and Shanti became friends since they were both half of something. I was more confused on why he had dog ears. Ray, the ultimate kid. I won't lie. His ultimate doesn't lie to me. He is probably the ultimate kid if he's gotten this far. At least Killua has a kid friend, but he looked a little edgy, but I brushed it off. I turned to the last girl, and she sorta made me uncomfortable. She had short, black hair similar to Ryuko's, but without the red streak, and she had a few piercings along with an eye patch. Did she lose it in a fight? Brushing away my thoughts, I noticed she looked my way, and for some reason, I sorta tensed. She didn't say anything, and she just walked out with no words. For some reason, I felt somewhat of an evil aura from her. Maybe it's just nothing. What was that about? Ren had snapped me out of my thoughts as I turned to him and shrugged. She was rude, just walking out on us and not even saying her name or anything. Ryuko crossed her arms, looking down to the ground with an annoyed expression. Just leave her alone. She had the right idea though. Well, I'm gone. Killua put his hands behind his head as he walked out the way the other girl walked out. Maybe we should all go and get some rest. I pulled out the suggestion, and luckily, everyone nodded in agreement. Soon, the gym was losing people until I left along with them to the room I was supposed to be in. I sat on my bed in my room, and I was still in my clothes. This was my new life. This feels like a dream, yet it was real. I looked to my nightstand and saw what looked like a card mixed with a phone. I grabbed it and turned it on. Supposedly, it was an e-handbook. This gave us access to our rooms and had the rules. It had my name on it, which was still strange since I had never mentioned my name to Monokuma. The rules showed up and I read through them all. Rule number 1. Students may reside only within the school. Leaving campus is an unacceptable use of time. Rule number 2. Nighttime is from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Some areas are off limits at night, so please exercise caution. We have a bedtime. We're not kids. This is already dumb, but I kept reading just so I wouldn't get in trouble for anything I didn't know about. Rule number 3. Sleeping anywhere other than the dormitory will be seen as sleeping in class and punished accordingly. Rule number 4. With minimal restrictions, you are free to explore Hope's Peak Academy at your discretion. Rule number 5. Violence against Headmaster Monokuma is strictly prohibited, as is destruction of surveillance cameras. Rule number 6. Anyone who kills a fellow student and becomes blackened will graduate, unless they are discovered. Rule number 7. Additional school regulations may be added if necessary. Those rules seemed simple enough. Good think I didn't try attacking Monokuma with my sword. Who's know what would have happened to me. Anyways, it was boring in my room, so I put the e-handbook in one of my pockets and grabbed my sword as I walked out of the room. I was soon in the hallways, just walking until I bumped into someone again. This seems to always happen to me, luckily. It wasn't Usagi. Said I didn't hear any screeching. Hey, sorry about that, I said, and soon noticed that it was Kanao, the girl who had the coin. She looked to me before taking out the coin again and flipping it. It landed on Tails, and I don't know why, but she just dipped her head to me before walking off. That was a little strange. It's almost like the coin spoke to her. I continued walking, with my goal being to find some food soon. I heard a bunch of yelling and I got worried, not wanting to miss anything. I started flying towards where it was coming from. I soon landed and opened the doors to the cafeteria. There, I saw Bakugo pinning down Inuyasha on one of the tables, and Inuyasha looked like he was digging his nails into Bakugo, making him bleed, while Bakugo looked like he was gonna blow of Inuyasha's face. Around them were Ryuko, Akane, and Ren. They weren't doing anything and were just watching the two fight. This was just perfect. These dumb boys just don't know when to shut up and quit it. Akane yelled over the fighting, crossing her arms. I feel like a dumb boy for just watching. I'm gonna blow off your face, you fucking dog. Bakugo yelled loud enough for anyone to hear. I watched as Inuyasha pulling out his nails, and it looked like his dog ears were twitching. Get off me. Inuyasha pulled out his nails from Bakugo, and it looked like Bakugo's arms were bleeding. If they didn't quit it, one of them would murder the other. Guys, can we just calm down? I heard Ren speak up, pushing up his glasses. Inuyasha pushed Bakugo off the table. Before he got off the table, this angry Pomeranian called me a dog, and of course, I insulted him back and he got set off. Oh yeah, think you're so tough now. I heard Bakugo yell, but Ren was holding him back. Ren, you're so helpful. Would you both shut up? Akane yelled before walking over to Inuyasha and slapping him, going over to Bakugo and doing the same. Well, she has some guts. Ryuko laughed as Inuyasha rubbed his cheek. I quote LL fucking Bakugo was cut off by Akane punching him before kicking his stomach and knocking him out. We all sorta just looked to Akane with a shocked look. I never knew a girl could be so strong. I assumed she was just plain and simple, but I was definitely wrong. What's wrong? You guys wanna end up like him? She gestured us to come at her, and nobody did. Everyone just started making up an excuse so they weren't knocked out. I think I have to help Bakugo, Ren quickly said as he picked him up, quickly walking out. I remembered that I need to go talk with Usagi. Yeah, Ryuko just ran off and it was obvious it was a lie. I remembered that dogs like naps. Inuyasha rubbed the back of his head as he nervously laughed before walking off. Now it was just Akane and she started at me, and I tried not to stare back so I wouldn't come off as rude. I also didn't want to get beaten up by a girl. You gonna keep staring all day or what? She finally spoke. It seemed like she had a hatred for boys rather than girls. Apologies. I just quickly flew away as I noticed that she had a look of awe on her face, glad she was impressed by my flying. As I landed and was in the hallways, I remembered I left my sword in the gym, but I didn't think of it as a problem. I noticed Killua skateboarding through the hallways, and he was heading towards the cafeteria. My gut told me I should greet him, but he looked like he didn't want to be distracted. I moved out of the way so he could go through and watched him go by, soon hopping off the skateboard and opening the cafeteria doors to walk in. Tamaki soon ran by me, quickly waving before leaving. I don't know where he was going, but I thought nothing of it. The only thing I noticed was a serious look on his face. Maybe someone rejected him. Doesn't matter. I was heading towards my room. All I could think of was sleeping and making days pass by quicker so that I could end this nightmare. I had been sleeping for hours and I had no sense of time. If I was correct, it felt like morning, maybe around 11, 12. I had no idea. This nightmare seemed never ending. This feeling it feels like despair. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? My thoughts washed away as I heard a knock on my door. I didn't invite anyone over, so I was a bit confused, not wanting to be rude. I stood up and rubbed my eyes, going to the door and opened it to see Violet, bowing to me. Hello, Violet, did you need anything? I asked, and I quickly bowed back like an idiot. Greetings. If you can, may you join Ren and I in the cafeteria. We're just eating and drinking some tea. She said it in such a nice way that I couldn't decline if I really wanted to. I nodded my head, not knowing what to say. Follow me. Then she started walking, gesturing me to follow. As I did so, I left my sword back at the cafeteria either way so I could go back for it and hang out with them after some walking. She opened the door for me and I walked through, her following behind me. Hey there, Ren greeted us as we sat across from him. He was drinking water and was reading a book. Hey, Ren, I'm glad I can hang out with you guys. I looked around and there was no sign of my sword. Looking at the table, there were 4 glasses. Ren and Violet had one along with myself, but who had the 4th one? No worries, but we did wish to speak with you. Violet poured me some tea and I didn't like tea. Not wanting to be rude, I just smiled and choked it down. It's about killing game. Ren's whole face changed and it looked like he was about to break the glass in his hands. I also tensed. I didn't want to think about the killing, but it was brought up. What about it? I mumbled to him, trying to make it not look like I was mad. Well, if you may, we were wondering if you had any thoughts of killing. That's when everything just stopped, including my breathing. Me. Killing? I've only killed villains I needed to kill, but I wouldn't go after anyone else. I lost it and stood up, slamming my hands on the table, but not hard enough to break it. I would never kill anyone. I don't have a reason. Well, I'll give you a reason. Monokuma popped up out of nowhere and startled me as I fell back. Ren and Violet just looked to the demonic bear. What is it now? Ren looked like he wanted to strangle Monokuma, but he doesn't look like the guy to do so. Well, I have a motive. You guys are the only ones I haven't told, so this is perfect timing. Monokuma pulled out a remote. I hope we don't have to watch some random movie because that would be true torture. Then please proceed. Maybe Violet is a little too proper. Will do, Ms. Evergarden. Monokuma happily pressed a button on the remote and a screen came down soon. A projection showed it and I wished I had declined Violet's offer. First, it showed something Ren knew since his facial expression changed. It showed two boys. One with dark blue hair with some covering his eyes similar to Ray, and another with bleached blonde hair. He looked like a delinquent and you could mistaken him for one any day. Then, the screen started flashing, and it showed the two boys dead along with what looked to be a human-like cat and 4 other girls. Then, a group of people that looked to have Monokuma's head started to beat the bodies. I've seen people die, but this was gruesome. Ren stood up and slammed his hands on the table. His glasses fell off, and I could see pain in his eyes. Violet had a serious look on her face, and I was just in total shock like an idiot. What kind of demonic bear was he? The screen turned black and Violet's expression changed. It looked to be the body of some man that was continuously getting hit with a bat. It was brutal and Violet must have thought so too. She looked like she was about to cry but still held it back. It went on for about 5 minutes before it turned black again. And it was now my turn. It showed Capsule Corp getting burned down by more people with Monokuma head. Everyone was dying and there were a ton of bodies. Soon, Goku and all the others appeared dead on the ground, and that's when I snapped. I charged up a blast and shot it at the screen. It broke and the video finally stopped. Ren and Violet looked relieved that it was over, and so was I. Then I heard Monokuma starting to yell. "You're paying for that," was what I heard before he just disappeared. I was so furious. I could just destroy this whole school if I could. Sighing, I had finally calmed down. "I think we're running out of tea. I'll get some more," Violet quickly said. Going to the kitchen, it was probably an excuse to get time alone, and I don't blame her after what I just saw. Ren and I just looked at each other. We had no words or anything to say after what we saw. I think we both wanted to make an excuse to leave. Even if Ren did make an excuse, I wouldn't mind. Did Monokuma show something similar to everyone else? That's when Violet came back out, although she didn't have any tea with her, which was strange since I thought she was actually getting tea. Maybe there was none left. "Violet, where's the tea?" Despite still being shocked, Ren spoke up. "We have a problem." She gestured us to follow her into the kitchen as Ren and I stood up, following her. There, in the kitchen, lay Ray's body. His hands were around his neck as if he had been struggling with something. There was an apple that looked as if it had been jammed into his mouth, and there were stab marks almost on every part of his body. The rest of the place was covered with BLD along with my sword, which was laying by his body. That's when I had a feeling. What was this feeling? Fear, sadness, anger, disgust. No, it was just despair. Ray, the ultimate kid, was found dead in the kitchen. This can't be real. No, it just can't. He was a kid and he had a whole life to live. My thoughts were ruined by something that came over the speakers. Ding dong, ding dong. A body has been discovered. After a certain amount of time, the class trial will begin. Monokuma's voice didn't help during this. After a while, everyone had gathered and it wasn't long before I heard screams, and the loudest came from Usagi. "JHHH. It's a dead body. Ray is dead." Usagi yelled before she started to cry. I also wanted to cry, but it wasn't the time to do that now. What the hell? Bakugo's voice was heard as he pushed past everyone and looked to Ray's body. I couldn't tell, but by his voice, he sounded pretty angry. "Aw, Ray." I next heard Shanty's voice as I watched the half-genie cover her mouth and cry. But he was just a kid. Leaf yelled, now also crying. All this crying was giving me a headache, but I understood their pain. "Yep, he's gone. One of you killed him." Monokuma appeared, and that didn't help matters. "One of us wouldn't kill him." "You're lying." I yelled to Monokuma. I was done with this guy from the beginning. "Wouldn't you be surprised? Now, get to investigating because a class trial will soon start." Monokuma did his annoying little laugh which could kill anyone. "Yes, sir," Violet said sternly. I liked how she was proper and formal, but she was a little too formal. "Let's get started then. We have to avenge Ray." Ku bursted out, only for his voice to be overlapped by Monokuma's. "Before you get started, here is the first Monokuma file." He took out some file which he had named after himself. I soon snatched it from him and opened it. Everyone gathered around me to read it, and it made me a little uncomfortable, but I didn't mind. Ray, the ultimate kid, was found dead in the kitchen at 1 p.m. Cause of death was a stab wound and he has multiple all over his body. He also has an apple that seemed to be jammed into his throat. This file is already confusing, Ren said before pushing up his glasses. Let's not waste time then. The Monokuma file has been added to the truth bullets. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Ren's right, we're probably on a time limit. I was surprised when Akane agreed with Ren as she walked out with Ryuko behind her. I decided to start where the murder was then. I remember my sword was next to Rei's body. Did someone really use it as a weapon? The tip of the sword had BLD, and I assumed this was used to kill Rei. Trunk's sword has been added to the truth bullets. I decided to take my sword back later and wash it, but this made me look a little bad. I felt a few glares come my way as I just decided to ignore it and continue my investigation. After a while, I noticed a bin that looked like it was supposed to be with apples, but none were there. I assumed that one apple was used to jam it in Rei's throat, but what happened to all the other apples? Apple bin has been added to the truth bullets. Tamaki was crying in the corner. Just to make sure he was alright, I went to him and tapped his shoulder. Hey, you alright? I calmly said if I set him off anymore, he wouldn't help at all. I'm definitely gonna die next. I heard him mumbled he really wasn't in the mood, so I decided to walk away and leave him alone. I went back over to Rei's body. This wasn't the first time I've seen one, but it was still gross. I looked at all the stab wounds, just about 13 stab wounds in total. Whoever did this showed no mercy. Rei's stab wounds have been added to the truth bullets. I noticed that the girl with the eye patch was here. She waysading. During this, I shouldn't question what she's doing because she looks like she could kick me, and yeah, you get it. Back to Rei's body. I remembered that he had an apple that looked as if it was jammed into his throat. He couldn't have choked. Looks like the killer did it forcefully. I also noticed that his hands were over his throat as if he was struggling to get it out. Who would even do this? Apple and throat had been added to the truth bullets. Rei's hands have been added to the truth bullets. I decided to ask about where most people were, but let's start with myself. at 12 I was with Violet and Ren. Before that, I was just in my room. Simple enough. Trunk's alibi has been added to the truth bullets. And I already knew Ren and Violet's, but I should ask again. I went over to Violet, who was investing one of the BLD areas. Violet, do you have some time? I tapped her shoulder so that I could get her attention, and she turned to me. What do you need from me? I just need to ask about what you were doing before you invited me to hang out with you and Ren. Yes, Sir. Ren and I were hanging out around 11:30 in the cafeteria. We were both together the whole time, and we didn't leave once. I can confirm that it can't be Ren, but I can't truly be sure. Her alibi was pretty believable, and if Ren can confirm it, then they both should be safe. I dipped my head and thanked her as she bowed to me before I started going towards Ren. Violet's alibi has been added to the truth bullets. Ren noticed me and was the first to talk. Hello, need to hear my alibi. I was a little surprised that he overheard Violet and I, but it was obvious. Yes, please. Let's see. At 11 I was in my room before Violet knocked on my door and invited me to hang out with each other. We headed to the cafeteria and for a bit we were together, but she did leave a few times, claiming she had something to do. After that, we were together the rest of the time before she went to invite you. That was a little strange. She said they were together the entire time. This means one of them is lying to me, but I can't tell who. Thanks, Ren. No problem. I noticed a small smile come from him and that made me smile. Ren's alibi has been added to the truth bullets. Right as I was about to leave, Ren stopped me. Can you wait a second? What is it? I turned to Ren as he went over to one of the pools of BLD from Rei and took out something. It looked like white hair. A whole chunk of it, too. White hair. Only two have white hair, I mumbled to myself as Ren nodded to me. I do have an idea of who it could be. Ren added in. White hair chunk has been added to the truth bullets. I'll be back. Ren continued looking around. We both waved to each other as I ran out, in search of two people. After some running, I almost ran into Inuyasha, but he just did a flip over me. Soon behind me. I think it was pretty impressive, but he didn't look too amused. What do you want? He said it in such a rude way that I wanted to leave now, but I couldn't. I just have a quick question. Where were you before Rei died? Basically before one. He scratched his head before rolling his eyes. Well, let's see. I was in my room before I got real hungry around 9 a.m. so I went through the cafeteria to the kitchen. I noticed that there was only one apple, so I didn't touch those. I grabbed an orange and then just left. There was only one apple. So did someone already eat them all? Most likely, but they probably have a big appetite. I thanked Inuyasha, who just rolled his eyes at me before I started to walk off, in search of the other person. Inuyasha's alibi has been added to the truth bullets. I stopped in front of Killua's room door, but right as I was about to knock, I was startled by someone who tapped my shoulder. Yeah, what do you need? It was Killua. Perfect timing. I want to know what you were doing before Rei's death. Killua just looked at me before sighing. Around 10:30 a.m. I was talking with Leaf before we left. I went to the kitchen and there weren't any apples left that I wanted. I just took some bread and left. The apples were there before, so I need to figure out when the killer took the apples. Killua's alibi has been added to the truth bullets. I needed to talk to one more person, but something came over the speakers. Ding dong, ding dong. Hello there, kiddos. It's time for the class trial. Make your way to the big red door on the first floor. See you there. I needed more time, but I didn't want to mess with Monokuma. Listening to his words, I started to make my way towards where he said to go after getting lost. I found the door and I was the last one there. I was embarrassed since everyone was waiting on me. The door opened and it revealed an elevator big enough to fit in all of us. I squeezed my way in as the door shut and the elevator started to move. Would someone really do such a brutal thing to a kid? I heard Uzagi and she sounded serious. This must have really hit her, and it hit all of us, knowing that Ray still had a life ahead of him. That's as brutal as not reviving a Pokemon. Leaf mumbled. I didn't know what a Pokemon was, but it was probably something serious. Leaf knew. You damn idiots would actually kill a fucking kid. I was pretty surprised that Bakugo even cared, but it's good to know he had a heart. Whoever did this will pay. Killua put his hands behind his head. Good to know Killua understood since they were both kid. We'll get through this, guys. Shanty was trying her best to lighten up the mood, but it didn't really help. Yeah, we got this. Ku joined in with Shanty. They already seemed like perfect friends. The elevator soon stopped as we all turned to the doors. The doors opened and we all walked out into the trial room. I could feel that we were all nervous, and it wasn't a bad thing. This was it. Ray, the ultimate kid, was killed by one of us, and this was our time to avenge him. Monokuma file. Ray, the ultimate kid, was found dead in the kitchen at 1 p.m. Cause of death was a stab wound, and he has multiple all over his body. He also has an apple that seemed to be jammed into his throat. Trunk's sword. Trunk's sword was found at the murder scene next to Ray. It had BLD at the tip of the sword, and it may have been the cause of death. Ray's stab wounds. There were stab wounds all over Ray, and it appeared to be 13 wounds in total. They were all only on the front of Ray's body. Apple in throat. There appeared to be an apple that looked like it was jammed into Ray's throat. Ray couldn't have choked on it since it looks like it was forcefully put in. Ray's hands. Ray's hands seemed to be around his neck as if he was struggling against something, most likely the apple. Trunk's alibi. He was in his room before Violet invited him to hang out with Ren and her in the cafeteria around 12. They were there for the rest of that time. Violet's alibi. Violet was with Ren in the cafeteria around 11:30. The two of them were together the whole time and not one of them left. She says that she can confirm that Ren isn't the killer. Ren's alibi. Around 11. He was in his room before Violet knocked on his door and invited him to hang out with her. They both headed to the cafeteria and they were together for a bit. Violet left a few times, saying she had something to do after that. They were together the rest of the time until she went to invite Trunks. White hair chunk. A chunk of white hair was found in a pool of BLD near Ray. It could have been the killer's hair that they left behind on accident. Apple bin. There was an apple bin that looked like it was supposed to have apples, but there are none. It could be confirmed that one was used to put into Ray's throat, but it's unclear where the other apples went. Inuyasha's alibi. Supposedly, he was in his room before he got hungry around 9 a.m. so he went through the cafeteria to the kitchen to get something to eat. There was only one apple, so he didn't think to take it. He grabbed an orange and left. Killua's alibi. Around 10:30 a.m. He was talking with Leaf before they departed ways. He went to the kitchen and there weren't any apples left. All he did was take bread and leave. Now, let's go over the rules. We all went to our places. This was a strange trial room and it's nothing I've ever seen, but Monokuma probably has his reasons. During the class trial, you will present your arguments for who the killer is and vote for who did it. If you vote correctly, then only the black end will receive punishment, but if you pick the wrong person, I'll punish everyone besides the black end, and that person can waltz on out freely. I've never been to a trial unless it was an island trial, so I don't know how this works. Leaf spoke up and I didn't know what she was talking about. Then why not you shut up? Bakugo seemed like he would just yell at everyone the whole time and that would make me deaf. This class trial is already over. We all turned to Ku, who had a huge grin on his face. Didn't we just start? You already know who did it. Shanty was just as confused as the rest of us. How did Ku already know? Maybe this dumb boy did it and he's gonna confess. Vote him now. Akane was sorta in a rush and I felt she'd get us all killed. What? It's not me. Even if it was, why would I confess? I already know who the killer is. I think Ku seemed unsure and I wondered if he witnessed the murder. Spit it out, tell us. Ren looked to Ku and he also seemed unsure. The killer is either Inuyasha or Killua Zoldyck. We all had a shocked look on our face. Inuyasha or Killua killed. I wouldn't be surprised if Inuyasha did it, but a kid killed another kid. Inuyasha didn't take this accusation lightly. How is it me? Why would it be me? Inuyasha looked like he was about to kill Ku right then and there. How is it me? Killua was taking the accusation pretty calmly, which did worry me. How is it them actually? Maybe if I think, I can get to the bottom of this. Non-stop debate. How is it me? Why are you blaming me? Inuyasha wasn't taking this lightly. Because I saw evidence, you demon. Ku yelled back to him. Can you actually tell us already? Uzagi was starting to get impatient and I was, too. It has to be one of you. I ain't lying. Ku was pretty set on the fact that it could be one of the two. Quit yelling for a second. I was surprised with how calm Killua was, considering he was being accused. For the whole day, I haven't gone to the kitchen. When Inuyasha said that, I realized something. Wait, that's wrong. I cut off everyone to make sure I was heard. Break. What is it, Trunks? Leaf looked to me as the rest did so, a little uneasy, but I had to say this. Inuyasha said he hasn't gone to the kitchen for the whole day, but you told me you went there around 9 a.m. to get food. I felt pretty smart saying that as Inuyasha blinked at me. Oh yeah, I guess I did tell you that. Inuyasha looked away as if he was embarrassed. I guess I would be, too. Wow, such an idiot dog. I heard Bakugo mumble that, but Inuyasha just brushed it off and it looked like he was trying not to kill Bakugo. Then it's Inuyasha. That's final. Ku turned to Monokuma and before he could say anything, Leaf started talking. If it was Inuyasha, how could he do all that without anyone noticing him? Ku looked a little surprised that he was getting proven wrong. Let's say Inuyasha was the murderer, wouldn't anyone have noticed that he would constantly walk in and out of the kitchen? Leaf was pretty smart, I had to admit that. Leaf is right, that would be too suspicious. Ruko chimed in and gave Leaf a thumbs up. I told you it wasn't me. Inuyasha crossed his arms and this concluded his accusation, but now, we're back to Killua. You guys still think it's me? Killua put his hands behind his head, just staring at all of us like we were crazy. It has to be you, kid. There's still proof. Usagi spoke up and it sounded like she was being smart for the first time. Usagi is sorta right, there is proof it could be you. I chimed in and thought for a moment what could prove that it could be Killua. Oh, right, it has to be that. Non-stop debate. It has to be Killua now. Usagi seemed determined and dead set on Killua. How could it be Killua? Leaf quickly joined in. He's a kid. Why would he kill another? Ruko made a pretty valid point. I dunno, Ren has said few words, but I doubt he's suspicious. Well, think about it, he is the ultimate assassin. Hearing that from Tamaki made everything stick together. I understood why Usagi thought it was still Killua. I agree with you. I stopped everyone from talking as I yelled it to get everyone's attention. Break. I'm not surprised Usagi thinks it Killua after all. Have you guys forgotten he's the ultimate assassin? Usagi turned to me as I said this and nodded her head. So it's the kid. I knew it. Ryuko quickly said this, but I had to stop her. There is a possibility still, but it can't be him nor Inuyasha. There was a white chunk hair at the scene and the killer must have wanted to frame either of the two. Good job, Trunks, even with your bad hair. You're pretty smart. I was pretty hurt by Akane's remark about my hair, but at least she was lightening up. That ends it there. So it's not Inuyasha or Killua. Usagi seemed disappointed and that worried me, but I nodded. What now? That was the first time I heard Kano spoke and I shrugged, trying to think. Let's talk about his cause of death. Ren put up the idea and all of us nodded in agreement. The cause of death was a stab wound. I object that. I couldn't finish my sentence because Shanty stopped me. What's wrong? I asked and she seemed a little angry. The cause of death can't be a stab wound. Ray had to have choked on the apple. Monokuma is tricking us with that dumb file. But what if Monokuma is telling the truth? He couldn't have. Shanty cut me off again. Ray choked and that's final. I was getting annoyed, but I had to prove that he was stabbed. Rebuttal showdown. Ray choked on the apple. It's so obvious. Why can't you just believe me? Well, what if he didn't choke? He had to be stabbed to death. That's so wrong. Can't you think? Remember how his hands were? I have to disagree. Ray was stabbed. By what exactly? Was it a knife? Nope. No knives. Or something sharp. I heard that next line and I had to say it. I couldn't lie. I'll cut through those words. I stopped her right there and she looked at me confused. Break. What is it? Do you finally agree that he choked? She crossed her arms and it felt like she was staring into my soul. Ray didn't choke, he was stabbed. I can confirm it. Let's say Ray was stabbed. What was the apple for? Violet spoke up and looked towards me. Think about it, if you were stabbed, wouldn't you scream out? It was probably used to keep him quiet. Ren seemed to be very helpful and I was grateful. I guess I was proven wrong. Shanty kicked the ground, but I gave her a reassuring smile to make sure she knew she was a little helpful. I just have a question. Usagi raised her hand as if this was a school. And I nodded to let her know she could talk. So if one apple was used to shut him up, what happened to all the other apples? That was a pretty good question. What did happen to all the apples? Wait, maybe one of those two? No. Hey, Inuyasha. I turned to him as his ears perked up towards me. What is it now? His voice sounded annoyed, so I decided to make it quick. When you went to the kitchen, how many apples were there? Scratching his ears, he paused before speaking. There was just one apple and I assumed someone was saving it, so I didn't eat it. I thought for a moment before Ren started talking. Killua, when you went there, how many apples were there? None, not even a stem. Killua had to be speaking truthfully. Then that settles it. From 9:30 to 10. The killer must have taken all the apples from between those times. I felt like we could solve this and I was confident in myself. Now we need to move on to something else. Non-stop debate. So what now? Leaf asked the question we were all saying to ourselves. Well, what about where all the apples went? Akane spoke up. Let's think about where the killer would hide all the apples. Usagi was being smart, which sorta shocked me. What if the killer took the apple bin and hid the apples in that? Hearing what Tamaki said, I was starting to assume almost nobody was listening to me. Wait, that's wrong. I stopped Tamaki from talking and eyes turned to me. Break. Where the murder happened, there was an apple bin there. It was empty, so if the killer took that with the rest of the apples, it wouldn't be there. Tamaki sat down and brought his knees to his chest. Poking at the ground, we all sorta looked to him as he looked to me with puppy eyes. God, those could stare through my soul. Why not ignore the puppy boy and continue on? I'm getting bored. I didn't want to set off Akane, so I nodded along with everyone else. I've heard mostly everyone's alibis, so we all should be good except I have suspicions. I closed my eyes to think for a bit. Of who exactly? We've already confirmed that it can't be Killua or Inuyasha. Ryuko finally said something as I opened my eyes. Violet. When I said her name, she looked a little surprised. Yes, sir. You and Ren were together the whole time, right? And Ren can confirm it, too. Yes, Violet and Ren both said it at the same, and if I could think correctly, I can figure this out. Non-stop debate. Me and Violet were together in the cafeteria, Ren told me, which was pretty obvious. Well, were you guys on a date? I heard Leaf tease them, which made me embarrassed even though I wasn't there before. We weren't on a date, Violet mumbled. Even she didn't look embarrassed. That's fucking gross. Shut up, Bakugo yelled, which quickly shut Leaf up. Ren and I were together the entire time, not once did we. Wait, that's wrong. I cut off Violet and she looked towards me. Break. What seems to be the problem? Violet's voice seemed slightly nervous, which made me think I was right. You're the problem. Ren said that you left a few times. You guys weren't together the whole time. Violet looked surprised, meaning I was right. What did she lie to me for? I don't see why she would, since she just had to say what she was doing. Ren and I were together the entire time. What do you mean? That's a lie. You're lying. This is so confusing. I heard Uzagi as she kept turning to Violet and I should have some sort of proof that Violet has something to do with this. Non-stop debate. Why do you think it's me? Violet was calm considering she was being accused. Because Ren's alibi says that you kept leaving and you lied about your own. I tried to keep my cool, but I wanted to shoot back at her. Why would someone as beautiful as her kill a kid? Uzagi shot this to me and I didn't know if she was defending Violet or complimenting her. Why would I want to stab a kid 16 times? Once Violet said that, I knew it. Wait, that's wrong. Break. 16. I only counted 13 stab marks. How did you know that there were 16? She looked shocked and I knew I had pinned her. It was just a lucky guess. She looked away quickly. Yeah, but wouldn't the killer know the exact amount of stabs they gave? Everyone turned to Violet, who looked like she was losing her calm. I knew I got her and it was all over. She had to be the killer. Then let's vote. I was cut off by someone. I'm gonna stop you right there. You fucking idiot. Violet isn't the killer. Bakugo's words rang through my ears as everyone turned to him. What do you mean, you Pomeranian? Everything points to her. Inuyasha and a few others wanted to end this already, and so did I. Are you guys fucking idiots or not? There's evidence pointing to a different killer. Come on, who is it then? Akane yelled this, and I swear I should have been deaf by now. Bakugo then smirked as he turned to me. Everyone got the hint except me, as all eyes just stared through me. I was a bit confused. Maybe I just missed something. Guys, I don't think I'm catching on. I nervously said this. I never liked being the center of attention. A certain sword was at the crime scene. Killua smiled as he looked to me. Trunks fucking brief, you were most definitely the killer. I looked at everyone as I tried not to fall over in shock. Me? How could it be me? Why would I kill? This doesn't make sense. I have an alibi and everything. Doesn't Trunks have an alibi and everything? Ren saved me there as I quickly nodded. Yeah, I was in my room before Violet asked to hang out with her and Ren around 12. We were there the rest of the time. I backed myself up, but not many agreed. I even noticed that Violet didn't agree, yet she was helping me with an alibi. Are you fucking dumb? There's one thing that can prove that this bad haircut beach is the killer. I looked to Bakugo. How can it be me? What is it then? I was determined to prove I wasn't the killer. I had no reason to kill a whole child. Non-stop debate. The guy with the bad haircut is definitely the killer. Geez, I'm more worried on all these comments Bakugo is saying to me. My name is Trunks and I'm not the killer. Oh, shut up. There's no backing out of this one. Inuyasha's one to speak when he just got accused. I guess Trunks is the killer. Let's vote him now. Ryuko is gonna get everyone killed if we vote now. The idiot left something important that proves it's Trunks. Hearing that from Killua, I knew that everyone was gonna get killed because of my idiotic move. I agree with that is all, I mumbled before everyone stopped. Break. I did leave something behind. I left my sword in the cafeteria and it was found where Ray was killed along with BLD that covered it. Yeah, that had to be the murder weapon. And it was Trunks. Leaf seemed a little too happy to figure out it was me. So then we can confirm that his sword was used to kill Ray. Ku said, and I was getting backed into a corner quickly. And if the sword belongs to bad haircut, then he's obviously the murderer, Ryuko said, and I was done with all this comments about my hair. Quit commenting about my hair. My name is Trunks. Then let's end it here and vote off bad haircut. Tamaki said it so proudly. I wonder what he would think if I called him puppy eyes. Wait, never mind. Monokuma. Let's get. Leaf was about to say something, but Shanty stopped her. Good thing, because that would have been the moment we've all gotten killed. Guys, are we really sure it's Trunks? Everyone looked to Shanty as if she was crazy. At least someone has my back. Everything points to Trunks. It has to be him. Violet spoke as if she was never being accused. I hate it here. No, it's not me. My sword was first in the cafeteria because I left it there on accident. And people last in the cafeteria where I see it now. Inuyasha probably understood me finally. I can prove it's not me. So what are you saying? Ryuko looked to me as I was sure about my answer. I know who the killer is, I think. Akane. Huh, what is it now? She crossed her arms to me. Back at the cafeteria, Inuyasha and Bakugo were fighting, right? Oh yeah, I rocked that dog's shit. Bakugo started laughing as I heard Inuyasha growl. I also remember that Bakugo and Inuyasha were fighting Ryuko. Akane and I were watching Ren input this as I nodded in agreement. Ren left with Bakugo to the nurse. Ryuko left claiming she had to talk with Uzagi. Inuyasha also left, which left Akane and I. So what? You think it's a little date? When Akane said that, I was a little embarrassed. Why are their main priorities dates? I understand now. The second time Kanao has talked, glad she's making some progress. Akane, I left my sword in the cafeteria. You were the last one in there and I never saw you leave. So it's, sorry, I have to object. Violet cut off Leaf before she could finish. What's wrong, Violet? The killer is still you. It's no doubt you used your sword to kill Rei. What reason would I kill Rei for? And if I did, why would I leave something that important? It's Trunks. Let us vote now and end this. Rebuttal showdown. It's obviously Trunks. His sword was left at the scene. It was covered in BLD, so it was the murder weapon, and Trunks used it to kill Rei. Violet meant business right now, and I had to get everyone back on my side. It can't be me. It has to be Akane. She was last in the cafeteria with my sword, and I never saw her leave. That has to be a lie. You constantly lie as if it'll help you since you're the killer. You made Rei choke on the apple. I got her right there. Wait, that's wrong. I cut her off as she looked at me like I was insane. Break. We've already went over that. Rei didn't choke on the apple. His hands are proof of that. Huh, his hands were around his neck. If you were choking, wouldn't you just take out the apple considering it was whole? Violet stared at me and I could notice she was getting angry. Even I was getting confused. Either it's Akane or Violet, but it didn't make sense. God damn it. Let's just vote. Bad haircut already. It's him. Bakugo yelled, and at this point, I felt like Bad Haircut was my nickname. Come on, let's vote already. I was worried when Ku agreed, and I knew others would agree sooner or later. It's not Trunks. Kanao spoke up and everyone looked to her. How do you know that? Ryuko opposed Kanao, and I was glad she was talking more. Ren's alibi. He said that Violet kept leaving. You also said that you left your sword in the cafeteria, which Akane was last, and it can't be Trunks. Kanao backed me up and I smiled. Good that she decided to talk now. I also agree with Kanao. Ren nodded to everything that she said. Does Bad Haircut even have an alibi? Akane was set off and anything more and she would kill everyone. I do. As a matter of fact, I was in my room the whole time until Violet invited me to hang out with her and Ren. I'm tired of this. It's Violet. Let's vote her out now. Leaf had the right idea as everyone nodded their heads. Even I nodded my head. It's over. Violet Evergarden. I looked to her with determination in my eyes but smiled. Why are you smiling? You're about to die. Tamaki pointed it out as everyone looked to her. Don't tell me you're happy about dying. Ryuko yelled to Violet, but the smile didn't move. I can't do this. We've lost. I heard her mumble, but I was confused. What do you mean we? Don't try dragging us down. Ku had a sharp frown on his face. I hope he doesn't try biting me. The killer isn't me. She looked down, but it seemed like she was glancing to someone. Then what was all that evidence just now? Inuyasha yelled at her and I was more worried about my ears. Yeah, how is it not you? Shanty chimed in. Wait, I just realized something. Violet is claiming that she's not the killer, but I understand now. The real killer is. Hold on. Akane cut off Violet, which was confusing. What's wrong, Akane? Her face was red with anger. Violet is the killer. She's trying to throw us off. It's Violet. Let's vote her off now. Non-stop debate. It's Violet. Let's vote her off now. Akane was set on this. Could you let Violet speak for a millisecond? I was annoyed with Akane. I guess all of a sudden it's fucking Violet. Bullshit. It's Trunks. Why is Bakugo even on this topic still? But what if there's something that can prove that it ain't Violet? When Ryuko said this, I had it. I agree with you. Break. Huh, what'd I say? I don't get how Ryuko was confused, but I decided to brush that off. Ren's alibi. He said that Violet constantly left Buthao. Would she kill in the time she kept leaving? And weren't there signs of BLD? Wow, he's right. Leaf went over to me and patted my back before going back to her own place. At least she didn't say my little nickname. And I know the true killer. Everyone's attention went to Violet, but something seemed off about one person. Spit it out then. We're waiting. I noticed how Inuyasha's ears twitched. He is sorta like a dog, but I didn't mean it in a rude way. Apologies. Akane Tendo. Violet looked to Akane, who had a shocked and angry look mixed together. Akane is the killer. Shanty seemed as shocked as the rest of us. I'm not the killer. Bad Haircut is lying. Akane was furious. I understand now. Akane is definitely the killer. I smiled to Violet. Although she tried getting me killed, she came clean. Come on. It's Violet. I had to prove Akane wrong and I knew exactly how. PTA panic talk attack. It's Violet. There's so much proof. Akane kept spitting out excuses. Vote her off. It's Violet. Come on or we'll all be killed. Let's get her out of here. I'm sorry, Akane, but this is the truth. How is it not Violet? Accomplice, this is your end. I stopped her right there. Break. What? She seemed shocked. Violet could have been an accomplice and helped you with all of this. You could have killed while Violet could have hid everything. That is correct. Trunks, I give my thanks to you and I'll owe you. I was a little embarrassed when Violet told me this and bowed. Finally someone thanked me. Akane, you wouldn't leave looked like she was gonna cry. Why would Akane do this though? Uzagi started crying. I could tell Bakugo wanted to blow her face. I'll sum it all up now, I nodded. Closing argument. Let's start early back at the cafeteria. After Inuyasha and Bakugo finished fighting, I flew off, but I left my sword there. The killer was the last one in there with the sword and most likely took that sword. They knew that they could kill someone with it. Let's move to the next day. Inuyasha was in his room around 9 a.m. before he got hungry. He went out to the kitchen for food. When he was there, only one apple was in bin, so he took an orange and left. Now on to Killua. He and Leaf were taking around 10:30 a.m. Before they split, Killua went to the kitchen and there weren't any apples. All he did was take bread and leave. We can confirm that from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. the killer took the apples and hid them. Also taking the apple that they would soon use. Inuyasha or Killua must have lost some hair or it got cut off at an unknown time because the killer could have gathered that up and used it to try framing them. The killer must have took Ray into the kitchen or he went there on his own. The killer took him and most likely knocked him to the ground. They must have jammed the apple they took into Ray so that he couldn't yell and alert others. Ray's hands were around his neck because he was struggling to breathe using the sword they took from me. They stabbed Ray 13 times. He had to still be alive for a while since he died at 1. The killer must have asked Violet to help them hide evidence, and with Violet being polite, she accepted and helped the killer. Violet must have asked Ren to hang out since she knew she needed an alibi. Ren accepted and they hung out together. She constantly left because she most likely needed to finish hiding evidence. After she finished, she stuck with Ren until she invited me. After that, we were all together until Ray finally took his last breath at 1 p.m. when Violet went to the kitchen to get us more tea. She soon pointed out Ray's body. The killer had to act as shocked as us so that they could fit in, but really, they did it themselves. Well, did I miss anything? Akane Tendo. Complete. What? Akane was shocked and I knew it was over. Akane, is this true? Ryuko looked to Akane, who was still trying to process everything. Everyone looked to Akane. I can't believe she would actually go as far as to kill a kid. You fucking not even Bakugo has any words. Monokuma. Let's get to vote. Ren said this because it seemed like he didn't want anyone to drag this on. We all looked to Monokuma, who was sleeping. How could he sleep through this whole thing? I guess I shouldn't question him. Monokuma, wake up. Uzagi yelled at the top of her lungs, which really woke him up. Huh, what happened? Monokuma was surprised. It felt like he wasn't here in the beginning. Monokuma, ready to vote. Leaf looked to the ground as he said this and I felt a grin go on his face. Alrighty, time to vote. Will you vote the correct person, or the dreadfully wrong one? Monokuma laughed as it was time. Akane, I'm sorry but we have to vote you. All the votes are in, and the results. Everyone voted for Akane. Monokuma let out some evil laugh as everyone looked to the now crying Akane. Gee guys, I heard her try to speak but her tears were stopping her. Akane and Inuyasha's ears were lowered. He really was hurt along with Bakugo. Why the hell would you kill a fucking kid? Bakugo yelled, which made Akane cry before she snapped. Because I had to get back to my love. She shot back before everyone went silent. Your love. Kanao was confused and so was everyone else. I have a fiance named Ranma. Monokuma showed me a video of him getting killed and beat and I had to go save him. I could understand how determined Akane was seeing her loved one getting killed and beat. So Violet, why'd you agree to help her? Ku looked to Violet, who had no expression. Because I'm willing to help anyone but I was blind to what I was truly doing. Why'd you call her out in the end though? Uzagi seemed hurt with a sad expression on her face. Because I didn't want everyone else to die because I was blaming myself. I admire your kindness. Violet, I rested my hand on her shoulder and did a small smile, but don't help anyone who wants to kill next time. Guys, I'm really sorry. Akane yelled out. Now fully in tears, everyone was hesitant to forgive her, but that's when Monokuma spoke. Too late now. It's time for your punishment. Akane looked to Monokuma once he said that. Punishment. Wait, what did he mean? Punishment? He can't just put Akane in a timeout corner. I was so confused. I have a very special punishment for the ultimate martial artist. Wait. Akane's cries were cut off by Monokuma. It's punishment time. Akane Tendo has been found guilty. Time for the punishment. A metal chain collar appeared and took Akane by the neck, dragging her off somewhere. She was then taken into an open area with sand. She was barefoot, so the sand looked like it hurt her feet. Monokumas were cheering on as waves of males with Monokuma heads came out. Males on males versus one female. The ultimate martial artist's punishment. All the males started running towards her as Akane handled them pretty well. She kicked each and every male away as they fell to the ground, even though she kept kicking them and punching them and knocking them out. More and more constantly came. I could tell she was getting tired of this quickly. The sand didn't help her case either. while running to another. The sand tripped her up as she fell hard on her, but the males from up front came, but all she did was trip them. She wasn't paying attention as males came behind her and tackled her down. I watched as one brutally ripped off one of her arms as she screeched in pain. Soon a male went for her neck as I heard a snap. All the males walked away and Akane was left on the floor, missing one arm and dead. Wahhh. Usagi started crying as everyone else stared in shock. But Akane, Ryuko stuttered, lost for words. I think I'm dreaming, I heard Tamaki say. And Ayasha's ears were lowered as he and Bakugo looked like they had did this themselves. What? I even noticed that the other girl with short black hair and an eye patch was in shock along with Kanao. Was this real? Or was it just a dream like Tamaki said? My thoughts were interrupted by hearing a laugh from Monokuma. Fiyuhuhu. Now this is true despair. What the hell are you laughing about? Bakugo yelled, going right to Monokuma's face. This is what happens when you're caught as the black end. I see the despair in your eyes. Fiyuhuhu. It's almost time for bed, too. So get to your room soon. Monokuma did that annoying laugh before he disappeared. Some of us were frozen in shock, some of us were crying. I don't know what emotions I was even feeling, but Monokuma was right. This was true despair. I woke up around 7 a.m. in bed, in nothing else but short pants and a tank top. What happened? Yeah, we lost Rei and Akane last night. Akane had killed Rei and she was executed in front of all of our eyes. Her neck was snapped by one of the Monokuma-headed males. Akane said she wanted to see her love again, and I understood that, but she didn't have to kill Rei. A child, it didn't help that she even asked for Violet's help and she agreed. I can't believe all of this got to her. That's when I heard a knock at the door and my thoughts were ruined. It was 7 a.m. Who would knock at the door? I hope this didn't waste my time. I stood up and opened the door enough for my head to be seen. Hello, bad haircut. A half-genie, Shanty, was at the door. I didn't do anything, right? What do you need? So I was looking around and I saw something awesome. And it'll really benefit us. Is it a way to escape? I was a little hopeful, but that was pretty much shattered. I found a pool. A pool? I don't think a pool would benefit us in any way. Yeah, and Monokuma unlocked a second floor, too. So once we explore that, I want all of us to be friends and go to the pool. I liked how Shanty was at least trying to bond us all together. Sounds good. I'll start looking around and just get me when it's time. Just come get me. Alright, bye, bad haircut. I watched as Shanty skipped away. At least someone was positive after seeing someone die. I closed the door and got dressed, making sure to get my sword this time so I could keep eye on it. After that, I opened the door and instead of walking, I flew. It was quickly and I could cover more ground. As I was flying, I stopped to look around. That was a mistake. Something was thrown towards me and it hit me right in the face. I swear, there had to be a mark of where it hit me. I pulled it off my face and blinked. My face just hurt blinking for a bit. It looked like a ball. Who brought a bouncy ball in here? Looking at it more, it was half red and half white with what seemed to be a button in the middle. Looking around, it was just me. Monokuma was gone. Shanty was gone and it was just me. I threw it on the ground to see if it would bounce. It didn't and I looked like an idiot. It just landed on the ground and sorta rolled off to the side. Just as I picked it up, I heard the speakers. Ding dong, ding dong. Alright, students, I'm really pissed off right now. Everyone come to the gym or there will be consequences. Monokuma yelled this and it really hurt my ears. Who set him off? I could only guess it was Bakugo or Inuyasha since they are usually angry all the time grabbing the ball thing. I tried my best to stuff it into my pocket as I put my feet into the ground and ran to the gym. Coming into the gym, I was the last one there, but I noticed that the girl with the eye patch wasn't here. Monokuma probably forgot she existed because he appeared with some sort of angry look. Alright, which one of you idiots did it? He yelled this and it echoed throughout. Did what? I quietly asked and he looked at me as if I couldn't predict the future. One of you took something from me. Do you mind saying what is missing of yours? Violet rose her hand only for Monokuma to shoot back at her. Don't act like you guys don't know. That's it, I'm done with Monokuma's act in this killing game. I pulled out my sword and flew towards him. Screw you, I'm ending this game now. I yelled as I was getting closer with everyone watching. I invoked the nightly summon spell. To me, godly spears of Gungnir. Monokuma called this out, which got me a little confused. I wish I stopped there. Without warning, spears shot out towards me. I managed to dodge most of them due to all the training I have done with my father, but I think I was a little too PPY. A spear I didn't notice went towards me and got my right arm. I dropped my sword and fell down. Looking at my arm, the spear was huge and it went straight through. I don't remember anything because I passed out. After a while, I woke up in a bed. This place obviously wasn't the room Monokuma gave me. After a bit of thinking, I realized I was in what looked like the nurse's office. Looking to my arm, it was covered in bandages. Man, I thought that was the end of my life. Looking around, it was just me and I don't know who brought me in. I looked through my pockets and took out the red and white ball. It wasn't a bouncy ball, so what was it? Was this the thing Monokuma needed? Obviously, it was important, so I didn't have the idea to give it back to him. I decided to take the risk and push the button on it. Pushing the button, Nothing happened, but it opened up and I threw it to the wall. Wow, aren't I brave? Anyways, I saw it glow before I saw an outline of something. I closed my eyes and once opening them, I saw something. It was a small, yellow thing that had black tips at its ears and a black tail. It had big eyes which were pretty cute and pink cheeks. I was confused going over to it. I picked it up. What's your name? I don't know why I talked to it, probably just me being dumb. Pie, I heard it quietly and blinked. What was it trying to say? Pardon, Pie, it said it a little louder. Pie. What's a pie? Baby, that was its name. Can you say that again? P-I-C-I-C-U-D-U-U-U-U. It yelled this as I felt a bolt of electricity go through me and realized it came from the thing. When it was done, I was left as burnt as lava. I hurt all over. I coughed up some smoke as the thing hopped out of my hands. I heard some running and Inuyasha, Leaf, Ren and Uzagi burst in. It was pretty awkward since they saw me looking like a burnt steak. I did a nervous laugh before I just fell over completely. What happened? Ren came over to me and patted my back so I could cough up more smoke. What is that thing? Inuyasha was the first to point out the thing that decided to electrocute me. I heard it cheer in joy as it hopped onto Leaf's shoulder and nuzzled her. Leaf started giggling as I was confused. It decided to almost kill me, but not her. Awa, it's so cute. I heard Uzagi look at the thing on awe as it was now on Leaf's shoulder. Ren helped me wipe the smoke from my eyes so I could see correctly. Leaf and the thing seemed like they knew each other so well. Oh, it's so nice to see you again, P. Leaf held up the thing as she pet it and it smiled back at her. Y'all know that thing. I shook off some more smoke with a confused look. Is there some sort of demon? Inuyasha poked at it as Leaf kicked him in the shin. It's not a demon. It's a Pichu. Pichu, what's that? Ren was just as confused as me. It's a Pokemon. Haven't you guys heard of one? You're acting like you're not from here. We all blinked at Leaf as she kept talking to the Pichu like a baby. None of us knew what a Pokemon was, but she did. Maybe she was a secret bad guy. I'll keep an eye on her. A Pichu is a Pokemon and this was the first one I've ever caught. I name him P. Leaf gleefully said as it smiled towards me. This little never mind. Hey, Trunks, where did you find it? Ren looked to me as he pushed up his glasses. It was in this thing. I think someone threw it at me. I rubbed my eyes as I went over and grabbed the open red and white ball. That's a Pokeball. It's where you keep your Pokemon when you're not battling or feeding them. Leaf took it and looked at it. Inuyasha scratched his ears. I don't understand a word you're saying. Do you think Monokuma took it? Ren took the ball to inspect it. I'm positive I had all my Pokeballs before. Monokuma must have known I could use it to escape or against him. I hope the rest of my team is alright. Leaf took the ground as Pichu went on her shoulder. It's okay, we'll find the things for you, I reassured her. Awa, Trunks is so nice. Do you think he has a crush? Uzagi poked my cheek as I looked to her unamused. I don't have time for this lovey-dovey stuff. Inuyasha walked out, putting his hands behind his head. Wait, I didn't mean that. Uzagi ran out after Inuyasha. We all stared at each other awkwardly. Trunks, you better not like me now. Come on, we need to get to the pool. Shanty asked everyone there. She grabbed the Pokeball from Ren and put her Pichu back in it, stuffing the ball in her pocket before walking out. Do you actually like L? I just cut Ren off here. Oh, look at the time. Don't I need a swimsuit? With my arm still in pain, I flew out and glancing back, Ren walked out, too. I messed up my flying and fell right in front of Tamaki, who had an unsettling smile on his face. He yanked me up and pulled me in close. Now, listen closely. Trunks, I'll say this once. He whispered this and I thought he was about to tell me some secret. But what is it? You know how Shanty invited everyone to the pool. Is there a problem? As I said that, I saw a smirk on his face. Trunks, do you know how to look good? My mother said I already looked good. I looked down, but Tamaki quickly grabbed my wrist and pulled me into his room, locking the door. I heard him chuckle. Is this a kidnapping? Trunks, do you know how many girls will have bikinis? Is that important? I was never really interested in this kind of stuff, but Tamaki was. As the ultimate host club leader, that should be your main priority. When Tamaki said this, I haven't heard of a host club back home. This guy was probably insane. It's not really. Let's fix that hair. Tamaki grabbed my hair as I tried pushing him back. Gah, that's my hair. There's nothing I can do about this. Tamaki let go before going to the other side of the room to grab something. I had to fix up my hair as I looked to him. What are you getting now? Tamaki threw swim trunks so funny at me, which were purple, and I managed to catch them before they hit the ground. What's this? I'm helping you and you're gonna wear those. He flipped his hair as if he did something. I was cut off when Tamaki gave me puppy eyes and fake tears. I can't believe it. I do this for you and you just decline. I face-palmed as I sighed. I couldn't turn him down now. Fine, I'll wear it, I mumbled. Embarrassed, I fell for this sick trick. Wonderful. Put those on and I'll see you at the pool. He pushed me out of his room before slamming the door, just leaving me with the swim trunks. Signing, I went to my own room to put it on. I can't ditch the little pool party now. I was pretty much embarrassed walking to the pool area. Tamaki gave me purple swim trunks to wear and there was no way I was able to decline for some reason. I looked weird since I was carrying my sword with me. Fu ran past me but stopped to look at me. It wasn't long before he started laughing and I was even more embarrassed. Ha 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 ha. What kind of swimsuit is that? And your sword? You're not going to a sword fight. He said this in between laughs. He was wearing blue swim trunks, so look who was talking. Well, I never got the chance to speak because Ku laughed all the way to the pool area as I followed him. Once I got to the pool area, Tamaki was right. Most of the girls had bikinis on, which made me wonder if he was a psychic. The girls excluded from this was the girl with the eye patch, since she wasn't here, Kanao, Violet, and Ryuko. Hey, bad haircut, you're finally here. Shanti waved to me as she called me out, and all eyes went to me in my outfit. Looking around, Inuyasha along with Uzagi were pigging out on food. Reminded me of Goku and my father eating leaf. Killua, Pichu, Shanti, and Ren were in the pool. I hope that Pichu doesn't kill anyone in it. Violet was off to the side. She was probably making sure nobody would drown. Bakugo wasn't swimming either. He was off to the side near Violet. Ryuko and Ku had their feet in the water while they were talking to each other. Tamaki was talking with Kana to the side. Looks like he was trying to charm her. I never had much fun back at home considering I've always been training. It's usually a main priority, but now, father isn't here. Looking around, I decided just to stay for a bit. I hopped into the pool as Ren smiled towards me. We all had fun in the pool and it all seemed like a pretty good time. Come at me, kid. Leaf and Killua were play fighting in the pool. Oh yeah, I guess I will. Killua pushed her head underwater as we all laughed. This was the happiness I was looking for from everyone. If only Ray and Akane had been here, but that's alright because they're probably happy that we're happy. After a while, everyone got out to eat and we all talked. Trunks, who gave you that? Shanti had pointed out my swim trunks and I just looked away. Why, I gave it to him, of course. Tamaki flipped his hair. This guy seemed full of himself. No wonder it looks bad. I heard Ryuko's comment and just shrugged. Looks awful. Inuyasha swallowed a mouthful of food before saying that. Could be better. Tamaki has no taste in fashion. Uzagi snickered. Hey guys, I have a question. We all turned to Shanti as I nodded for her to ask her question. The girl with short black hair and an eye patch. Did anyone get her name or ultimate? We all paused as we looked at each other. Nobody ever did get her name or ultimate. They're telling me nobody got her name. Inuyasha was annoyed. Thinking of it, she hasn't talked the entire time, not even one word during the class trial. Leaf was feeding Pichu as she pet the Pokemon. She looks weird, too, all those piercings and her hair, even that eye patch. Uzagi twirled around her hair. Maybe she has her own reasons. I heard Ren mumble as Violet nodded in agreement. I guess she does. Maybe tomorrow I'll see if she'll talk. I took a sip of my water as everyone nodded. You don't think she's planning a murder, right? Ryuko made everyone go silent at what she said. Could the girl be planning a murder? No, she can't after what she saw happen to Akane. She can't. Butches never told us her name or ultimate. I must have been thinking too hard because I accidentally broke the cup. I have an idea. Shanti got everyone's attention quickly. Speak, I told her as a way to say she could say it. Why not let our ultimate stealth master get into the girl's room? When Shanti said this, we all looked to the ultimate stealth master. Well, Ren looked down. You gotta. If she is planning a murder, then we have to stop her. Uzagi quickly said. Come on. Ren, I'll owe you. I smiled to my friend and I was happy when I got one in return. Okay, I'll do it, but first he held out a piece of paper and I took it. Everyone gathered around me so we could read it. Why do we need to go there? I turned to Ren, who was already leaving. You'll find out by now. I watched as Ren waved to us as he left. Let's get going then. Ren is probably going there after he gets dressed. Ryuko waved to us before she ran off and soon everyone was gone. I started making my way out. It was pretty fun, seeing everyone happy. I don't remember many times where I was this happy. Maybe there was hope for us to escape. I know it. 5:30 p.m. the time Ren wanted to meet everyone he wanted to meet in the bathhouse. I don't know why though. We asked him to just sneak into her room. I don't get what he needed everyone for. I saw the bathhouse and soon entered, seeing everyone in here besides Bakugo and the girl. Everyone's here. What do you want? Inuyasha was already impatient. Why are we in the bathhouse though? Shanti asked the question I was gonna ask as Ren answered. There's no cameras here. Monokuma can't listen in on us. As Ren said that, I looked around and there were no cameras. Smart thinking. Shanti gave him a thumbs up. Get to talking then. Me and Pichu have a lot to do. Pichu was on Leaf's shoulder. They must be close. If I have to get into her room, we need a plan. What if Monokuma catches me? Even my ultimate wouldn't stop the cameras. I have an idea. Kano spoke up and all eyes went to her. What is it? I was happy that Kano was speaking up and helping. Hold on. She turned and she took out the coin. She kept flipping it. Looked like she was about to flip it but changed her mind and put it back. Me and another can chaos a scene to drag out Monokuma. We all nodded. Kano had a great idea and I hoped she'd think of more in the future. Okay, who will go with her? Killua and everyone else looked around before all eyes rested on me. I guess everyone knew I would object because I was quickly stopped. Come on, I know I'm a half genie and all, but make this wish come true. I heard Shanti. Well, come on, you gotta do it. Ku got all up in my face before I pushed him back. Okay, I'll do it. Thanks. Trunks. Ren nodded to me before he continued. Leaf, Pichu, and Inuyasha, you guys will guard the outside if I'm able to get it. Yes, sir. P and I will do our duty. She rose his fist in the air and her Pichu mirrored her. Yeah, whatever. Inuyasha rolled his eyes, but he seemed on board with this. Everyone nodded in agreement. Everything had been planned out. Great, you guys can go. We can start this tomorrow at 7 a.m. Ren waved to us as he walked out, and everyone followed behind after him to their own rooms, including me. There was an empty room with a desk. The desk was stacked with papers, and someone was sitting at the desk. They had on a black suit and short brown hair with a ahoge. He's breaking universes by doing this for another killing game. Monokuma, he slammed his hands on the desk as the door opened. A woman with long, purple hair and a ponytail and a black skirt with a suit walked in. She closed the door behind her. She adjusted her tie and she wore black gloves. Are you alright? He looked up towards her. I'm not. Monokuma is gonna break the world doing all of this for another killing game. Even if we did stop this, how do you suggest we bring the remaining students back to where they came from? That's the problem. Another male walked in. He was tall with blonde hair and glasses in the same black suit the one at the desk was wearing. We can't just waltz up to Monokuma and ask him how to return everyone. The man at the desk picked up some papers and went through them. I doubt he'd be pleased to see the three of us again. The female chuckled. So I guess it's over. The male pushed up his glasses as the other one at the desk lay his head on it. I guess we can't. The female cut him off. The Makoto Nigi I know wouldn't give up so easily. Would he? Makoto chuckled, lifting his head. You always have faith, Kyoko Kirigiri. I guess there's no stopping you. Nigi, we can't give up. I guess the male pushed up his glasses. Surprised you'll help. Byakuya Tagami. Kyoko crossed her arms, looking to him. Even if we do get them out, how do we tell them that this isn't their universe without them freaking out? Byakuya and Kyoko both looked to Makoto, who looked back at the two. We just have to tell them some truthful lies. 6:30 a.m. 30 minutes until Ren has to do all he needs to do. I rubbed my eyes to wake myself up fully before getting dressed and grabbing my sword. I just wanted to try something before it was time. Opening the door, I walked out of my room towards the gym. Once entering the gym, I looked towards one of the windows, which was bolted shut. It looked like you had to do so many things just to manually take it off. Anyway, I got off topic. The reason I came here was to try breaking through without alerting Monokuma. I pulled out my sword and flew directly at one of the bolted window. Maybe I was just dumb, but I just kept hitting it with my sword. After a few minutes, there wasn't even a dent. Monokuma really prepared for this, huh? Just then, I heard the door open and I stopped. Looking over, I saw a dark figure. I couldn't determine. Maybe I just wasn't used to the dark. The lights haven't even turned on, so it was hard to see myself alone. Then I saw a few sparks coming from their hand, and I already felt an angry expression coming from them. Now it was obvious who it was as I went over to them. Bakugo. What do you? I couldn't finish as I heard an explosion and I was blasted straight into the wall. The wall didn't even make a hole, so it was clear that I couldn't blast my way out of here. God, Bakugo, what was that for? I rubbed the back of my head and stood as he came towards me. You fucking asshole, he yelled as he ran full speed towards me, pushing me back to the ground. Come on, can't we talk? I hope Ren heard this because this was his shot. Ren's POV. I was in my bed before I woke up. Trunks and Kano must already be fighting by now. A little early, but I'll do what I can do. The others must have got the hint, too, since I heard a knock at my door. Dragging myself out and grabbing my glasses, I put those on along with clothes before opening the door to Leaf, Pichu and Inuyasha. I think Kano and Trunks are already at it. Leaf pointed out the obvious since it felt like the outside could have heard them. Obviously, come on, let's go. Inuyasha already went over to the front of the girls' dorm and gestured us to follow, which we did. I tried opening the door. It was obviously locked. This plan was instantly a fail. Then I heard noises from Pichu and we all looked to the Pokemon. Leaf took something from its paws and read it out loud to us. Midoriya Ikishima. Nobody here had that name. Impatient, Inuyasha snatched it from Leaf and had somewhat of a shocked face. This is definitely the girls' handbook. Nobody else here has that name. Inuyasha put it in my face as I read over it. That definitely the girls' handbook. Midoriya Ikishima. Wonder why she didn't introduce her name before. I mumbled to myself before Leaf snapped me out of my thoughts, snatching back the handbook and handing it to me. Hurry up, Trunks and Kano can't fight forever. She turned my body towards the door as her and Inuyasha got on either side, with Pichu at Leaf's feet. Oh, right, I put Midori's handbook against the door and it surprisingly unlocked. Putting the notebook in my pocket, I snuck in and closed the door behind me. Looking around, the room wasn't anything special. Well, from what I could see it was dark and the lights weren't on, but I could see just a plain and simple room similar to my own. I couldn't hear anything on the outside, so I hoped Kano and Trunks were doing well. Trunks POV. Bakugo. What's wrong? He kept trying to blast me as I constantly had to dodge and jump back. You guys just like keeping secrets from the greatest hero of all time. Huh, you bad haircut motherfucker. He got a blast on me as he yelled this, pushing me to the ground. Where the heck was? What's going on here? The annoying voice I hated was heard and I realized Monokuma was here. What the fuck do you want? Bakugo yelled at Monokuma, who didn't seem fazed at all. Well, I heard all this noise and thought a kill was going to happen. I heard a slight laugh from him as Bakugo looked like the next was gonna be himself. Well, I'm gonna fucking kill him. He and all the other little shits. Before he said anything more, I pushed him out of the way. If he snitched to Monokuma, Then this is ruin. It was nothing. Monokuma, apologies, I didn't finish because Bakugo had blasted me to another wall and pinned me. You guys better not ruin the school. Monokuma was watching us. Was this despair inducing for him or something? The next kill is gonna be fucking you. Bad haircut. Oh, come on. My name is Trunks. I kicked him in the stomach as I ran to the other side of the gym. The gym door opened again and in walked Kanao, who was a little late to this whole thing. She looked confused. Seeing Bakugo trying to murder me then, I watched her flip the coin she always seemed to have before she took out what seemed to be a katana. I was confused on why in the living world she needed the coin, but I'll ask her about that later. She then ran towards Bakugo, and just as he was about to attack, she went right in front of me and blocked it with her katana. What the hell? He was probably confused since he was in the dark about mostly everything. I thought it was me and you, Trunks. We were supposed to do it together. She backed away to my side. Do what together? Trunks and I were supposed to do something together. I just hoped Kanao didn't actually tell him. Bakugo looked like he was about to yell at us again, but Monokuma cut him off for once. I thought I was thankful Monokuma cut him off, but I'd rather him make me deaf. Oh, you guys were gonna do what? Were you guys gonna this time? I cut off Monokuma by tripping over Bakugo to set him off again. Risky, but I did not want that sentence to be finished. I saw Bakugo's face, which was red with anger, taking Kanao's hand. I backed up with her before Bakugo blasted towards us. Luckily, I flew upwards while still holding on to Kanao's hand, and my head hit the ceiling. He ran right under us as Kanao hung by my hand. Come down here, you fucking chickens. The yell I heard from Bakugo was a little faded since we were high. That was good. Fee-hoo-hoo. This is so interesting. I heard Monokuma as it looked like he took out popcorn and started eating it. Glad he enjoys the show. I just hope Ren and the others are doing well. Ren's POV. I wonder if they stopped already. The rooms were soundproof so I couldn't tell, and Ayasha and Leaf could though, but I can't leave now. I tried my best to look around more considering I couldn't find the lights. I didn't see anything that could look like a murder weapon. No knives, ropes, etc. This really reminded me of looking for the treasure back at home, but there was one confusing thing. Leaf knew what Pokemon were, but I have never heard of them. Neither has anyone else. It sounded like something from a show, but we're all from the same place, so how did Leaf know about them? Maybe she just traveled somewhere, let's say that. I finally found the light switch and flipped it on just as I thought. It was a plain room, but something seemed off. I don't know what, but nothing felt right. Maybe I'm just being scared. I can't be. I've been in many palaces of others' shadows back at my home. All of us always nearly avoided death. None of us have ever died there, but I remembered the video Monokuma showed me. All of my friends were just dead. I didn't understand. It was hard to grasp that they were dead. No, I don't believe it. None of them have ever died in mementos or the palaces of people's shadows, so how did they die so easily? I had to focus on what was in front of me now. That's when I guess I had a feeling. I was still flying with Kanao holding onto my hand. Bakugo looked really mad and I knew coming down would just kill me. How do you fly? I heard Kanao ask me and I just stared at her. The word to explain, but let's focus on the Pomeranian down there. I took her attention back to Bakugo, who was still yelling. Come back down here, you fucking nerds. I'll blow your dumbass to pieces. I wish I could cover my ears, but I was still holding on to Kanao. This was kinda funny in my opinion, seeing Bakugo get angry over Kanao, and I was funny. At least I was strong enough to hold on to her because I would have let go of her by now on accident. This all just reminded me of Goku and my father, but I had a lot of questions. How did Monokuma kill them along with everyone else? Goku was the strongest person I knew, yet those Monokuma-headed things got to him. Thinking about it, did Kanao and Bakugo see a similar thing? I don't talk to either, but when I do, they haven't mentioned it. Bakugo must feel awful under all that act. He probably does have a heart. Now to Kanao, she always had somewhat of a straight face, but if she saw the same video, why wasn't she showing anything? Maybe I'll ask her about it later. That's when I noticed Monokuma was gone. Where did he go? Were we not interesting enough? The plan was already going down into pieces and we'd be caught. That's when I heard the sound I had hatred for. A body had been discovered. I almost let go of Kanao, but luckily I held on tightly to her hand. Hopefully I wasn't crushing it. Bakugo stopped and also looked surprised. But who discovered the Ren? I flew down and grabbed Bakugo's wrist as I dragged the three of us out to where Ren, Leaf, Pichu and Ayasha were. No, someone can't die again. I can't let them die. I set down Bakugo and Kanao along with myself. Once we were in front of the room, the door was already opened and everyone wasn't here yet. I walked in with Bakugo and Kanao, and at first, I didn't see anything. I noticed Ren, who was leaning against the wall, his hand on his forehead looking towards me. He pointed to under the bed and I cautiously went to it. I kneeled down and lifted the covers. I wish I hadn't. There lay the girl with the eye patch under the bed. The inside of the sheets were BLDY and the floor under it was covered in BLD. I couldn't see well, so I hesitantly pulled her out. My hand was covered in her BLD. As I looked at the body, she was BLDY and there were sharp pieces of wood stabbed into her. There was a hole through her head that I noticed her eye patch was missing, and it showed that she had a missing eye. Everyone else piled in as I wiped off the BLD from my hands. It wasn't long before I heard the first scream from Uzagi. Wahhh. It's the no-name girl. She's dead. Uzagi cried out before Ren stopped her. She has a name. Everyone looked to Ren as he held out a Monokuma file and a e-handbook. I took the e-handbook and the Monokuma file. Everyone came around me except for Leaf and Inuyasha. I looked at the e-handbook. Midoriya Kashima was her name, at least we know now. Midori's e-handbook has been added to the truth bullets. I guess we should go through the Monokuma file, making sure everyone was able to see it. I read through the file. Midoriya Kashima, the ultimate $% was found dead in her own room at 6:30 a.m. Cause of death is unknown $and PS equals and $. Everything was glitched after that. I doubt it would matter, but 6:30. I was awake by that time, not the time I'll think later. Back to Midori's body. Monokuma file number 2 has been added to the truth bullets. What made it frustrating since it didn't give a direct cause of death, but we all should be smart enough to figure out everything. Well, I shouldn't waste time. Let's get started. Investigation. Everyone walked out to most likely check if anything was missing. The only ones left were Inuyasha, Ren, and Leaf. Firstly, I went over to Midori's body. I was pretty sad she hadn't said anything about herself, and we don't even know her ultimate, but I can't be focused on that now. Back to Midori's body. She had sharp pieces of wood stabbed into her body, 10 pieces of wood right into her. I guess we can say it's the cause of death. Sharp wood pieces has been added to the truth bullets. The real question was where the killer got the wood pieces. I'll think about that later. During the trial, I remembered that she had a hole through her head, so I checked on that. It went all the way through, and I assumed another wood piece was stabbed into it, but I didn't see an extra one. Maybe they stabbed through and took it out to stab into her body. Hole through head has been added to the truth bullets. Strange how the killer would stab it through her head and then just stab it back into her body, though. I think she was stabbed through the body before the head. This hurts my own head. I looked to Ren as he looked back to me. I guess he understood I needed an alibi because he went over to me and kneeled down next to me by the body. You need my alibi, right? Ahais. Please, I nodded as he pushed up his glasses and started talking. Well, I woke up in my room around 6:50 and Leaf with Inuyasha knocked at my door. We went to Midori's room and we found her handbook in front. I used it to unlock her room door and I walked in. I was looking around and after a while, I found the body. I alerted Inuyasha and Leaf, and that's when the discovery announcement came on. Thanks, Ren. I did a small smile to him and he returned the smile. Ren's alibi has been added to the truth bullets. I stood up and before I left, Leaf had pulled me back and grabbed my shoulders, starting to shake me. Trunks, what do you need? Leaf, don't go yet. I need you to hear my alibi. I grabbed her shoulders and stopped her from shaking me. She blinked at me before she got the hint that she could talk now as I removed my hands. So I woke up a little too early, and when I came out of my room, I heard you and Kanao going at it. I woke up Inuyasha and we both went to Ren's room, woke him up, and we went to Midori's room. He went in and Inuyasha and I were guarding the front of the door the rest of the time before the announcement. Oh, thank you. Leaf, a lot to take in, but I could remember it. She grabbed my hand and shook it roughly before leaving the room. Leaf's alibi has been added to the truth bullets. Hey, doesn't bad haircut have an alibi? Inuyasha got my attention, but Ren answered for me. He should have an alibi, right? Yeah, I do. Around 6:30, I woke up and went to the gym to try something. Bakugo ran in and attacked me. We drew out Monokuma and after a while, Kanao showed up and we were just antagonizing Bakugo a little. We were in the gym for the rest of the time until the announcement. Inuyasha seemed like he was staring into my soul as he rolled his eyes and walked out of the room. He most likely thought I was the killer, but I couldn't be. I knew I wasn't. Trunks' alibi has been added to the truth bullets. Ren soon walked out and it was just me. Just as I was walking out, I had slipped on something and fell hard. I rubbed my head. What did I slip on? I had assumed I skipped on BLD, but then I noticed something. I crawled over to what it was and picked it up. A shocked look appeared on my face as I realized what I was holding. It was a revolver. How did a revolver get in here? Why was it here? I had a ton of questions. Revolver has been added to the truth bullets. I stood up and looking around again. I noticed a single bullet. I picked it up and looked at it. It was covered in BLD, so I assumed it was used to throw everyone off. I better hurry and go my way. Bullet has been added to the truth bullets. I went out of the room and I heard the speakers come on. Ding dong, ding dong. You know what time it is. Come to the red door because the class trial is beginning. What? Already? We haven't got enough evidence though to start. We need more time. Monokuma is doing this to us on purpose. Hey, Monokuma. I called out and just as I expected, he appeared. The class trial is beginning, so what do you need? Bad haircut. We didn't have enough time. We need more time to investigate. I wouldn't try arguing with me because I'll give you a new haircut to go to hell with. Now get to the door. He yelled this to me before he disappeared. There was no arguing with him. I felt like he was planning something, but that's not the point. I was too tired to run, so I just flew down the halls until I reached the red door. Everyone was already there once I landed. It feels so empty since we're missing 3 people. Hey, Uzagi was looking to the ground as she said this, but it was obvious that it was meant to everyone. I guess it does. I heard Inuyasha mumble. It sounded like he was pretty sad, too. It really does, Killua said as he put his hands behind his head. Come on, guys, let's at least have some sort of spirit. I'm glad Ku was trying to cheer up everyone, but it didn't work too well. The red door opened as everyone walked and the door closed behind us as the elevator started. Everyone had a depressing look. And so did I. This was the third person that has already died. Midoriya Kashima, the most mysterious girl whose ultimate was unknown even if we don't know her. She still counted as a friend. We had to avenge her. The elevator stopped as the door opened and revealed the trial room. I had another feeling, but it didn't feel like despair. It felt like hope. Midoriya's e-handbook. Midoriya's e-handbook was found outside her room by Ren. The reason is unknown on why Midori didn't have it. Monokuma file number 2. Midoriya Kashima, the ultimate $% was found dead in her own room at 6:30 a.m. Cause of death is unknown. % equals %. Hash equals sharp wood pieces. Sharp wood pieces were found stabbed into Midoriya's body, 10 pieces right into her, believed to be the cause of death. Hole through head. There is a hole that went directly through her head to the other side. Believed that killer took a wood piece and stabbed it through her head, taking it out and stabbing it through her body. Ren's alibi. He woke up around 6:50 when Leaf along with Inuyasha knocked at his door. The trio went to Midoriya's room and he went inside after using Midoriya's e-handbook. He was in there the rest of the time before he found the body. Leaf's alibi. She woke up and went out of her room when she thought she heard Trunks and Kanao going at it. Leaf woke up Inuyasha and the two went to Ren to wake him up. They all went to Midoriya's dorm and she with Inuyasha guarded the front the entire time. Trunks' alibi. He woke up around 6:30 a.m. and went to the gym to try to do something. Bakugo came in and started attacking him, drawing out Monokuma. After a while, Kanao soon came and joined the three. They were there for the rest of the time before the announcement. Revolver. A revolver was found in Midoriya's room after Trunks had tripped over it. Bullet. A bullet was found in Midoriya's room by Trunks. It's believed that it was used to throw them off. The actual cause of death. Everyone was in their places. We were all ready for the class trial. Now, Monokuma tried to say what he said last time, but he was cut off. Shut the hell up, Monokuma. Bakugo yelled, which, surprisingly, shut him up. So, how shall we start this off? Shanty asked as I started to speak. Let's start off with how the killer got into her room to kill Midori. Simple, but I was smart on my own. This could be easy to figure out. Non-stop debate. Let's start with how the killer got into her room. I repeated this to ensure everyone heard me. Maybe she let them in. Leaf put this up and it's a possibility. Maybe they were gonna do some stuff in the room. Tamaki creeps me out at this point. Do you think they stole her e-handbook? Shanty, you smart half-genie. I agree with you. I stopped everyone from talking. Break. Bullet used Midoriya's e-handbook. Shanty, you're a genius. What? I am. She was confused as if she didn't hear what she said. You can only open the room doors with your e-handbook, obviously. Killer had to have taken it from her to open the door. Oh, shut up. Inuyasha was quick to cut me off. What's wrong, Inuyasha? I noticed that his ears were sort of flickering. How could they have taken the handbook from her? Well, if you would have let me finish. Just shut up. Rebuttal showdown. How could they have taken her handbook? You think they just waltzed up to her and asked for her handbook? Or did they knock her out and taken it then? You think she just dropped her handbook? Inuyasha really needs to think about his words. I'll cut through your statement. I stopped him, which gave him a surprised look. Break. Truth blade used Midoriya's e-handbook. Don't you remember what Ren said? He said he found her handbook by her room door. She must have dropped it and the killer must have took it off the ground. Oh, I see. So you took the handbook when she dropped it. I had a shocked face once Inuyasha said this. Trunks killed Midori. Uzagi sounded just as shocked. I didn't kill anyone. I can't believe you would do this, Trunks. Did Leaf not get the hint that I didn't kill? I have all the proof I need. It's over, Trunks brief. Inuyasha had a determined look on his face as if he wanted me to get killed. Non-stop debate. It's most definitely Trunks brief. Inuyasha just wouldn't stop. It's not me. I swear. I can't believe Bad Haircut would do this. Leaf crossed her arms. Wow, sad that Trunks killed. Killua smirked as he put his hands behind his head. Do you have proof that it was me? Yeah. Didn't you wake up the time she died? Sadly, Inuyasha was right. I agree with that, I said, stopping everyone from talking. Break. Truth bullet used Trunks' alibi. I do admit, I woke up the time Midori died, but I didn't kill her. I went straight to the gym. I can back up. Trunks. Kanao raised her voice as everyone looked to her. When I went to the gym after Bakugo and Trunks were there, I didn't see a hint of BLD on him. Bakugo can also agree. Bad Haircut didn't have even a spot of BLD on him. He's good or some shit. I didn't appreciate that Bakugo called me by the dumb nickname, but I'll take what I can get. If we're done with this, let's move on to more important matters. We all turned to Tamaki. Like what? I asked. About Midori's cause of death. I almost forgot. We need to figure out her cause of death. The Monokuma file didn't state it. It was pretty obvious on what the cause of death was. Well, the cause of death was obviously being stabbed. Those wood pieces were straight through her body. Shanty pointed out the obvious. Then I guess we're off that topic quickly. I had a feeling that no, I doubt it's anything. But wasn't everyone sleeping before 6:30 a.m.? Violet spoke. What's wrong with that, Violet? If everyone was asleep, then everyone obviously has alibis, and Bakugo, Kanao and you were in the gym, and Leaf with Inuyasha and Ren were by Midoriya's dorm. And you got a problem, princess. Inuyasha probably didn't understand. I'm saying that everyone has an alibi and nobody could have been the killer. What? Nobody was the killer? That didn't make sense. One person can't have an alibi. I'm sure that someone killed Midori. I looked to Monokuma, who was sleeping. Monokuma, wake up. Zzzz. He woke up like on command. That was easy. Did one of us really kill Midori? Yep, one of you killed her in such a way. There's no way I could be lying. But what Violet said, everyone was asleep. Kanao and Bakugo plus me were in the gym, and Ren was inside Midori's dorm with Leaf. Inuyasha on the outside. Someone has to be lying about their alibi, but it didn't sound like it. Shut the hell up. Obviously, someone is a killer. One of you damn nerds are lying. Bakugo broke the silence quickly. But most of us were asleep, right? Don't tell me you think someone started sleepwalking. Usagi was on the right track. Mostly everyone was asleep. Then Monokuma is lying. Killua turned to Monokumaho was asleep again. But he said he wasn't. It's so hard who to believe now. Leaf took off her hat and scratched her head. It was hard to tell who was lying. Either Monokuma was trying to throw us off, or someone was lying about their alibi, but everyone could back up each other's alibis. This was confusing. Then let's just throw it all out there. Everyone turned to Killua. What do you mean? I hesitantly asked as he smirked. We vote someone random and hope we're right. That was so risky. If we voted wrong, we'd all be dead. He was basically telling us to all commit suicide. I expected nobody to agree with him, and I was right. We either gamble our lives or we'll just be here forever. Killua said it as if he wasn't telling us to kill ourselves. We can't do that. Shanty finally spoke up. That's basically telling us to kill ourselves. Ruko chimed in with Shanty. You're crazy, kid. Inuyasha's voice joined the two. This was confusing. We were being told to basically kill ourselves. This was also confusing. This was a case nobody could figure out, but I remembered something. Hey, guys, what is it? Bad haircut. I'll never get used to that nickname. Bakugo probably doesn't even remember my real name by now. What if the cause of death wasn't the wood pieces? When I said that, everyone looked at me like I wasn't even listening to the trial. What do you mean? At least Violet didn't think I was insane. The cause of death could be something else. Let me talk. Ruko cut me off. What's the matter? There couldn't be any other cause of death than the wood pieces. That was the only thing. But, no, we all saw them in her body, or did we just imagine that? Ruko was dead set on this, and I think I had something that could prove her wrong. Rebuttal showdown. What other cause of death could there be? It was the wood pieces. You're going insane through all of this. Well, there could have been a different cause, don't you think? Oh yeah. Do I need to hit you on the head? The cause of death was the wood pieces. Maybe you're dreaming. I mean, what other things could have killed her? Finally, she said the thing that got my memory working. I'll cut through your statement. I stopped her from talking anymore. Break. Truth blade used. Revolver. What's the problem? She crossed her arms to me. After everyone left, I fell when I was on the ground. I noticed this revolver. A revolver. Ren seemed confused, and I guess he didn't notice it either. So can we just say it was the killer's? I nodded to Usagi. Yeah, it probably was. Saying this, Ruko just turned away. Guess she was done. Seemed like most disagreed. I can prove them wrong then, hopefully. Non-stop debate. So let's say it was the cause of death. Where was she shot at? Killua put his hands in his pockets. You think they shot her through the chest? Usagi threw that up. Maybe they didn't shoot her at all. Feels like Ku wasn't following us through the trial. Idiot, you haven't been following through at all. Ruko input. You think they just shot her in the head? At least Leaf was following through. I agree with that. I stopped everyone once again. Break. Truth bullet used. Hole through head. Leaf, you smart female. Huh, Leaf is right. They must have shot Midori through the head. There was a hole her head that went straight through. She was definitely shot, and that had to be the cause of death. So what about all the wood pieces that were inside her? Tamaki asked, and I had an answer. It must have been used to throw us all off and give us a different cause of death. That bastard. I'll kill them myself. Bakugo yelled. I don't want to do another trial after this. Usagi whined. Doesn't that bring us back to what Violet said? Everyone has an alibi. Ren spoke up. Ren was right no matter what. It always brought us back to alibis, although I had a few ideas on who it might be. 2 people actually. Hey, I think I might know who the killer is. I have 2 suspects. I spoke up as everyone turned to me. And who might those be? Once Killua spoke, I turned to him. The first one is you. I heard a few gasps as I said this, but not one from Killua. Why do you think it's me? You basically asked us to commit suicide when you told us we should vote randomly. I saw a few nods of agreement to my statement. Yeah, unless you guys want to stay here forever. But what if we did listen? What if we voted wrong? Leaf said with a worried look. Then I guess we wouldn't be lucky. Then Killua shrugged like it was nothing. Then it's obviously Killua since he just wants us all to die. Usagi yelled. I do still have another suspect, I mumbled, wanting to make sure I heard what I said. Then let's take this attention off me and bring it to the other person you suspect. Bakugo. It wasn't long before I heard a few sparks coming from him after I said his name. What? How the hell is it me? I heard Bakugo yell as his hand was sparking. Wasn't Bakugo with us in the gym? Kanao was right, but I had a different thought. Yeah, but I'm talking about before that. Can any of us confirm that he went straight to the gym? I'm confused, Leaf. You're smart, but you're not helping. What I'm trying to say is Bakugo could have gone anywhere before he went to the gym and nobody would be able to confirm it. What the hell are you talking about? I went straight to the fucking gym. He shot back at me. Yeah, but you could have gone to Midoriya's room and killed her, then leave and go to the gym. Bakugo looked pretty mad at this point, and it felt like I would be the next victim, but it's a possibility either it's Killua or Bakugo, but I'm leaning towards Bakugo. So who are we voting for then? Tamaki broke the silence. I'm voting Killua since he just wants us to gamble, it Ku said, and I saw that Uzagi, Shanty, and Ren nod in agreement. I think it's Bakugo. Trunks did make a good point, Leaf said, and as she did, Tamaki, Inuyasha, Ryuko, and Violet nodded. The only ones who haven't agreed with either are Kanao, Killua, Bakugo, and I. Can I speak? I heard Kanao and nodded to her. I don't think it's Bakugo or Killua. I have a different idea. We all looked to Kanao. What is it? I asked, and she looked to everyone with a straight face. It could have been a suicide. Trunks brief. The ultimate sword fighter no Killua Zoldyck. The ultimate assassin him Uzagi Tsukunano. P. Read the files out loud before the door opened and Kyoko walked in, holding another. Makoto, you alright? I can't find a certain file if I'm right. They're the mastermind of this whole thing. Kyoko walked over to his desk and set down the file she had. Makoto took the file and opened it, looking to Kyoko. Didn't know you had this. Sorry, took it when you weren't looking. Kyoko chuckled as Makoto started reading the file out loud. $sign and 8% equals. The ultimate $sign and percent equals. Makoto read so that Kyoko could hear. You think they're the mastermind behind this all? Makoto nodded. My question is, how did they get everyone to our universe? Kyoko was about to speak but was cut off by the door opening and by Akuya walked in with another behind him. Hey, Tagami, who's that behind you? Makoto asked. The guy had an odd look, purple scarf, black coat and pants, and a scar around his eye. He had some kind of earring. Too, his hairstyle was strange and he had bandages around one of his arms. This guy should know a thing or two about universes, or from what I've been told, Tagami answered, moving out of the way so that the guy was in full view. I am. Just say your name and don't do that ridiculously long introduction. Tagami was quick to cut him off. Just call me Gundam Tanaka, he blatantly said. A suicide? I hesitantly said in disbelief. Think about it, everyone has an alibi that everyone could more or less back up. Don't you think Midori just committed suicide? Kanao did have a point. But Midori killed herself. It's hard to believe it, but she's never spoken, so we wouldn't know how she's feeling. Does that mean we vote for Midori? Inuyasha was just as shocked as the rest of us. Do we all agree? I looked around as everyone nodded. So let's close this. Closing argument. It was probably earlier, so I guess we can say around 5 to 6 a.m. Midori was probably in her room, already planning her murder. It's unclear how she did get a revolver, but it was probably her own that she brought here without Monokuma noticing. She most likely got wood pieces from somewhere and sharpened them enough to be used as a weapon. She probably stabbed them into herself, and she probably wanted us all killed since it would have thrown us all off and give us a different cause of death. The rooms are soundproof, so nobody would be able to hear her scream. She must have taken the revolver and shot herself in the head, causing the hole and making the bullet go straight through her head. The second she shot herself was the second I woke up, and everything from there played out until Ren found the body. Although it's unclear who dragged the body out from under the bed. And this was the end of the killer, Midoriya Kashima. Complete. Midoriya killed herself. Uzagi looked to the ground. She really did it, and she tried to throw us all under the bus with her. And Inuyasha had some sort of pity but was still probably just mad. So just vote Midori, right? Even if she is dead. Tamaki looked to Monokuma, who was laughing. Yep, suicide or not, you still have to vote the killer. You guys want to vote now? We all looked to Monokuma as we nodded. We're ready to vote, Monokuma, I said, trying not to show pain in my voice. Then let's get voting. Will you vote the correct person, or the dreadfully wrong one? Phew. Monokuma laughed as we all voted. All the votes have gone to Midori and you're all correct. It felt like my heart skipped a beat when Monokuma said we were correct. Midori's killer was herself. Monokuma had a grin on his face. She really killed herself. Ryuko was in as much disbelief as everyone else. But what reason did she have to? Inuyasha got on his knees and punched the ground. The beach was trying to throw us all under the bus, Bakugo mumbled. And she wanted to get us all killed. Leaf looked down. But hey, there's nobody to execute, right? Since the killer is already dead. Ku was right, there was nobody to execute if the killer was dead already. Phew. I have someone to take her place. Monokuma laughed. Who was it? Midori was the killer and she's already dead. A little against my rules, but this person deserves it after taking what I took from them. Someone took something from you, Tamaki said as we were all confused. But then I realized they took something from him. No. I have a very special punishment for the ultimate trainer. What? Leaf looked towards Monokuma with confusion. Monokuma, wait. I yelled out. It's punishment time. Monokuma, no. It was all too late. Leaf has been found guilty. Time for the punishment. Leaf had dropped through the floor as the falling girl was shown on the screen. She had dropped and fell into what looked like a forest scene. Looking around, there seemed to be some friendly animals, but their eyes turned red as they all started growling. Tigers, cheetahs, monkeys, bears, birds, and so much more. There were pokeballs by her and she knew what her objective was. Gotta catch 'em all. The ultimate trainer's execution. Leaf grabbed the pokeballs and stood up. Running away from the animals that chased after her, she threw one at a bear, and the bear had disappeared into it. She had a smile on her face as she continued running. What she didn't know is that it had broke out of the pokeball. She continued to throw all of them at the animals before they all looked like they were caught. I smiled, knowing that Leaf could survive this. That's when Leaf heard growling and turned around only to see a tiger leap right at her, tackling her and pinning her. The other animals broke out of the pokeballs and tackled her too. I don't know what happened, but once the animals stepped away, it was just bones and a hat that belonged to Leaf. Leaf, I stuttered out. What the fuck? Akugo mumbled. Why did you kill Leaf, Monokuma? She wasn't the killer. Inuyasha yelled out, but all Monokuma did was laugh. Fuyuhuhu. Leaf took Midoriya's place in execution because she stole something back that I took from her, and those things did a number on me. What are you talking about? Ryuko looked like she was holding back tears. She had this team of 6 Khalid. What was it? Pokemon. Yeah, that's it. I took them because they kept attacking me and they could be used to escape. Monokuma got a memory rolling in my brain and everyone else got the hint. I was the cause of Leaf's death.